Be that way then. Yeah, it looks like he had a hard day. He ain't been up in 2.5 hours. All right, y'all. We give praise, honor, and esteem to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Today we pick it up in the 5th chapter of John and the 39th verse. Certain scriptures. For in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another and receive not that come from Elohim only? You know, I think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote it. If you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Why don't people keep texting me, man? What are they talking about this time? Ron DeSantis trying to stop peaceful protests. Nigga, don't be out there looting. You ain't got to worry about getting shot. Proverbs chapter 17. I wouldn't even worry about you out there stealing people's stuff, then you're going to get shot. See what they going to do? They say George Bush and Bill Clinton and Obama going to take doggone COVID vaccine for you. They say when you take it, they take it, you'll take it. Them niggas had a nerve to say the vaccine symptoms is so bad that they scared people won't come back for the second shot. Proverbs 17:1. Better is a dry morsel and quietness therewith than a house full of sacrifices and strife. A wise servant shall have rule over a son that calls shame, and shall have part of the inheritance among the brethren. The finding pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold, but Yahuwah try the hearts. And the last one, a wicked doer give heed to false lips, and a liar give ear to a naughty tongue. So this is what we're going to do. Yahuwah willing, we're going to go through all 4 of these selections. Give me a moment, please. I think we did this one here already. But nevertheless, first and foremost, better is a dry morsel. Quietness. Does anybody have any idea of what they believe that could be referring to? Clearly no one. Well, let's look at dry. You have waste, desolate, and dry or ruined. What this word means, it is karab, and it is kat, rosh, and bat. And you can proceed at this present time for kat, for rosh, and with bat. It means dry, parched. Well, that's what it means. Say parched or ruined. Also dry, desolate. So dry bread. What you got?
The highest son separate.
Oh, you sit back and look at that. The son of Elohim is going to separate you when you look at dry. Just want to keep that in mind. And dry. Now you got morsel, and morsel is pod, fragment, bit, or morsel of bread, or a piece of bread. You have a, and you have tau. Now you've already began with that the son of Elohim is going to separate you. Now you got pay and tau. That should be quite simple. Those are the words of the covenant. So then behind that, you have quietness. Now with quietness, you have shalva, which is ease, prosperity, security. On that one, you have Shan, you have Lamad, you have U, and you have Hey. When you sit back and you look at it in this regard with prosperity, with the Shan, you go ahead and you take it and you would be paired. Take that Lamad, you take that and you go ahead and you see that shepherd. So now you've been paired to the shepherd's nail or to the shepherd's death, and you can behold your parent or you being a cod with the shepherd's death. This is how you end up in prosperity. Just on general principle in regards to prosperity. 2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 9. On 2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse 8. I speak not by commandment, but by occasion of the forwardness of others, and to prove the sincerity of your love. For you know the grace of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that you through his poverty might be rich. Now y'all should remember this verse in Proverbs. Do you recall it? You remember, little man? We've read this verse many times over the years. Does anyone remember the verse of which this is referencing from the book of Proverbs? Going once? Going. So, Proverbs 13, please. I think it's verse 12 that I desire. It might be verse 7. It's verse 7. Y'all remember this here? There is that make himself rich, yet have nothing, and there is that make himself poor, yet have great riches. So that's what that's referring to. But again, we're dealing with the prosperity that it's better for you to have a dry morsel and quietness than a house full of sacrifices and strife. Before we get back to the dry morsel of bread, I want you to come over here to 1 Samuel chapter 15 for a moment, please. After 1 Samuel 15, I want you to come to Matthew chapter 15. Because let's look at having a house full of sacrifices that have nevertheless being full of controversy. Maybe chapter 15. I want you to pick this up at about verse 15, 1 Samuel 15 and 15. What are you doing? What are you eating? Oh, you can read. That's right. You like flaming hot. Mm-hmm. I didn't even get. Because you had them yesterday. And Saul, this is 1 Samuel 15 and 15. And Saul said, they have brought them from the Amalekites, for the people spared the best of the sheep and oxen to sacrifice unto Yahuwah your Elohim, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Now, for y'all memory, say y'all recall, what were they supposed to do to the Amalekites? Destroy them all. How many of them were they supposed to leave alive? How much of their cattle was they supposed to take? How much of their money were they supposed to take? What did Saul do? He kept the king alive too. He kept the king alive too. King sitting there shaking. Surely my trouble has passed. He was like, I can't. You can't blame him for feeling that nigga like shoot. Nigga ain't killed me yet. It's smooth sailing right now. But remember we was talking about this a while back when somebody, Shalom, man. Remember somebody asked, I don't know what they done did. They got the whole doggone thing up there. So one of these turns I touched this doggone thing. There you go. So y'all remember, right?
Lee, get in that chair. Put your behind in the chair. Thank you.
When you fall, you're gonna be like, I don't know. That was gonna happen. So remember we were talking about a while back when dude was like, will Saul be in the kingdom? And I can understand why somebody would ask that. Someone who know the text would be like, your first instinct, like, that's a stupid question. But then it's also a reasonable question when you just pause and think. Somebody look at, well, why would Saul not get in? But some people are like, oh, Solomon was wicked. Number one, Solomon was never rejected of you. That's first and foremost. Was he chastised? Absolutely. Nowhere in there did he say, well, I won't fool with you. Not damn time. What did he tell him to do? He said, man, boy, I roll with you so much, bro. I'm going to take the kingdom from you, but I'm going to do it in your son's time. Never one time did he speak a condemning word to Solomon specifically. Even when you look at the man, what his name is, Ahab. Well, he condemned Ahab before he told him. Now you see how he humbled himself before me and wept. He said, you know what? I'm going to still kill all this. I'm going to kill all them niggas. Them niggas going to die. But I ain't going to let him see it. I'm going to kill him. Did he do Solomon like that? Did he say anything negative about Solomon? Not man there word. That just be funny that niggas who is wicked as the day is long in this day and time would be so swift to place their words in their mouth upon a man who is deemed to be the wisest man to ever live before Yahushua stepped foot on the earth. You have to have balls the size of grapefruit to open your mouth and say. Because see, when we turn around and look at Saul, what do we read? You will say, boy, I don't reject him. Matter of fact, he told Samuel, what is you crying over him for? Seeing that I have rejected him. Man, come on, man. Boy, this man was calling on Yahuwah didn't answer. So then he said, let me go holler at the Urim and Thummim. He said, well, I still ain't getting no answer. He said, well, I got to go holler at them hoes, boy. Let me go holler at one of these witches, man. That when you know, boy, Yahuwah don't fool with you, boy. He don't fool with you, boy. You had to go holler at a witch. Boy, even no matter what you done, boy, if Yahuwah roll with you, boy, he going to answer you, boy. Boy, he going to answer you, boy. If he ain't answer you, boy. He didn't answer you, boy, you scarred. You know, but see, that's when you really just take the time and because everybody wants to look at. You can't say who's not getting in the kingdom. You lying to me. You lying to me, but I bet you this here. I bet you Cora I ain't getting in. I bet you that. I put money on that. That man's not making it. You know why he's not making it? Because you disrespected the wrong person. You pulled the wrong move, and you will say, "I'm gonna holler at you, boy." You know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna holler at you, boy. They were like, well, David committed adultery and killed the man. And yet after that, the Yahuwah says, this is a man after my own heart. We go watch your mouth. Of course they did certain things. They're human, you idiotic fool. See, what people really want to do is you want to try to denigrate and debase men who the word has declared that are righteous. Because, oh, they did this over here. And it's going to make you feel better about what you're doing over there. And see, no, that's not how that works. Because you know what he told you. He shows mercy to who he wants to show mercy to, but he by no means clears the guilty. He punished Solomon just like he punished David. And that's what people neglect to discuss. He did, yeah, he forget. Well, he ain't even punished Saul. That's the part that they didn't look at. He ain't even punished Saul. He just cut him off. Did y'all ever pay attention to that? That he never punished Saul, he just cut him off? Because that was his punishment. Just cut him off. No, I take that back. You know what his punishment was? He sent the evil spirit to mess with him. Now, the evil spirit just didn't come randomly. You would say, go mess with that. That nigga right there, go torment him. I'm talking about you torment him. I'm talking about shoot, you got free reign. You make that nigga hate his existence. That's when you don't fool with you. You know what I'm saying? But don't nobody want to look at that. But you know, I gotta tell you, people want to look at it. If Saul can be wicked and get in, I can too. But shoot, you going where Saul going. Because Saul ain't going nowhere. It is what it is. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Didn't Saul make his choice? That's on him. 15 and 16 though. Then Samuel said unto Saul, stay, and I will tell you what you have said to me this night. He said unto him, say on. Samuel said, when you was a little in your own sight, were you not made the head of the tribes of Yasharal, and Yahuwah anointed you king over Yasharal? Yahuwah sent you on a journey and said, go utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore did you not obey the voice of Yahuwah, but did fly upon the spoil and do evil in the sight of Yahuwah? Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I have. Then you're going to lie about it. I have obeyed the voice of Yahuwah and have gone the way which Yahuwah sent me and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people, how you want to put it on the people, took the spoil of the sheep and oxen and the cheap things, which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto Yahuwah your Elohim in Gilgal. But didn't he just say in verse 15 that the people spared? He said the people spared the best. But guess what, though? Who he supposed to be? So you mean to tell me the people got more authority over you than you got over them? You think if you'd have told them animals, they would have did it? But no, nigga, you was complicit. You was with it. You know what that's an example of? What's that lady name? Anaya and Sapphira, the two doggone dirty back married people. did some old sour junk. You consulted together to lie to the Ruach HaKodesh and say, nah, man, we ain't keep back no price. So you was complicit. You was right on with them. You know what I'm saying? Now that's the situation and circumstance that you have to be aware of, whether it's your husband, whether it's your wife. Boy, if a nigga is out of pocket, boy, you not supposed to go along with that. You go ahead and let that nigga die on his own. Now, see what the husband did is a classic example of sinning. Because 9 times out of 10, that was his wife's idea, and he just went along with it. Could have been his idea. Who knows? Because he went in there first. You know what I'm talking about? Just don't do that. Well, I don't care if that's your wife or not, but you don't get no free pass. Your stinking funky behind going to hell by yourself. I guarantee you that. That's what you want to do. You go, well, you are not, what's the word? You're not obligated to lose your soul because your wife's an idiot and you got to be the dumbest man walking the earth to follow behind and listen to a woman to do something that you already know is contrary to what you know you're supposed to be doing. And let's go ahead and lie to the Lord. Shoot. You're right, baby. You can lie to the Lord. Oh, no. I don't speak French. Niggas do that junk every day. Don't be one. Samuel said, have Yahuwah have great delight, this is verse 22, and burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of Yahuwah. Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. That's what we coming in, because at the end of the day, they had a house full of sacrifices, did they not? But they're going to have a whole lot of strife. There was a whole lot of controversy that came along with that house full of sacrifices because Yahuwah began to do what? Plague Saul from that day forward. He had a house full of sacrifices, but he had a little strife, a little contention, a little trouble. I want you to come over here to Matthew chapter 15. Let's look at the Lord tell these people the same thing. Little Renee. Little Leah. What you doing? Little Monkey. What are you doing? You trying to soothe yourself? That's why you're sucking your thumb? Are you uncomfortable? Are you nervous? You're thinking. 15 and 3. You can make it 15. Then came Yahushua to the scribes and Pharisees, which were in Jerusalem. Why do the disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. But he answered and said unto him, why do you transgress the commandment of Elohim by your traditions? For Elohim commanded, saying, honor your Abba and your Emma, and he that curse Abba and Emma, let him die to death. But you say, whosoever shall say that his Abba or his Emma is a gift, by whatsoever might be by me, and honor not his Abba or his Emma, he shall be free. Thus you have made the commandment of Elohim by none effect by your tradition. You hypocrites, well did Isaiah say of you, saying, of you, saying, this people draw near unto me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Now, what is that important, right? When he said it is a gift, he was telling them, long as they brought a sacrifice, that they could dishonor their parents and they would be straight. So again, we're going to read something in Matthew 23 to back this up, and then go to Jeremiah 7 for to complete the witness. What is the purpose of why we looking at that? Because they're saying you can have this house full of sacrifices, but you're going to have strife. Because Yahuwah is going to contend with you, because you're going to have controversy with him. Now, see, when you turn around and you look at this in regards to the Mashiach, what the difference is he did not have a house full of sacrifices and strife. The people whom he was amongst had a house full of sacrifices, and there had strife and contention with him. Now, again, this is something that I keep referencing, like I mentioned to y'all last night, in regards to what it would be to be high value according to the way of Elohim. If you're high value in the way of Elohim, you will be rejected. You know what I'm saying? See, that's the difference. If you high value in the world, people will seek you out. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't they seek you out? You have money, you have connections, you have resources, you can be greatly beneficial to them. And therefore, people will want the value that you have. And usually, like I gotta tell you before, when somebody, it's like this here, right? Okay, boom. A man told me the other day, he said, yo, you trying to flip some houses? I'm like, shoot. Depends. He was like, well, shoot, man. I can lend you the bread for that. I said, well, I ain't never flipped a house in my life. So you're going to have to walk me through that. Okay, so I ain't got no problem with it. But you know why? Because of the value that I added to him for. Well, every time you hit me up, I can come clean your spots. I can come take this trash. I can come do this, whatever the case may be. That's value to him. I'm useful for him. So now he wants to turn around and say, how can I be useful to you? See, when you in the world, that's how that works. Because see, people who got a lot going on, they don't want nobody hitting them up talking about, can I pick your brain? No, you can't. I got things to do. I don't have time to sit around and talk to you. See, most of us are not used to that because most people that we know, what do they get up and do? They get up and go to work. They get off at us. They go to work at a certain time. That's just not going to work. One of you are going to be grossly uncomfortable or fall. And when one of you fall, I'm going to look dead in your face and I'm going to laugh at you. I'm not going to ask you if you're okay. Because I had already told y'all before we began to not sit 3 to a person in that chair. Now, if you want to continue to sit 3 to a person in that chair, that's your business. But when one of you get injured, do not cry. Just calmly get up and go to the back and cry in your inward part. Am I understood? All right, then. Oh, Leah got a problem? What's wrong with you? What's your problem? Why are you over there looking sad? Or why are you looking dejected? Or why are you looking down instead of up? What's down below? There's nothing down there. Nothing down there but floor and feet. But I want you to think about that, though. I say, right, when you look at the script of every person in the script that was considered to be high value, how many people actually came to them? There's only one exception, and that was Solomon. And why was they coming to Solomon? Because of the wisdom of Elohim that he possessed. They weren't coming to Solomon because he was the king. They weren't coming to Solomon because he had riches. Because the riches came from who? They came from Elohim. The wisdom came from Elohim. Queen Sheba wasn't come. Queen Sheba didn't come and say, I heard he baller. She said, I heard about his wisdom. I want to holler at him, see if he got it. You know what I'm saying? You look at David, everybody didn't come to David. Mass majority of the people were divided by David. You know what I'm talking about? If you was to look at anybody in the text who would be considered high value, he'd probably definitely be in the top 10, if not the top 5. Abraham was not accepted by any and everybody. Joseph was as high value in his time, and he was sold to a strange people. And then even after that, thrown in jail. We could go on for days. I could just simply see. I don't know if I have a corresponding verse in Proverbs that could fit that. And what you talk in what regard, there's I'm trying to.
I think in Proverbs you like rich as unicorn or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Or rejected by the neighbor.
Yeah. I know it. I don't know if that. I'm talking about just having a specific focus on what it is to be high value. Word wise, I know exactly what you're talking about. That we done used before. It's been a while. You weren't here for that. I could do it, but it's just not as direct as I would prefer. But we might can. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just talking about in regards to, because remember, value is useful. And when you're being used by Elohim, you're not going to be deemed useful to the world. Because remember what he said, the world will hate you, but it's not you that it hates, it's me that it hates, because I'm testifying of it. That is evil. You understand? You can come over here to Matthew 23, by the way. Like I said, I'm just giving the juxtaposition or the contrast between that conversation and what the words say. Because what he's talking about on the natural side is 100% accurate. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, you ain't need to know much. If you studied any matter of history, politics, or anything, or even just general pop culture, where they show movies of wealthy men, they've always shown you what high value men are. You know what I'm saying? You've never seen an instance where they were broke. You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't happen. Well, when we know scripturally, right? Proverbs 8:17 says that, I love those that love me, those that seek me early shall find me. And he said, and I give durable riches. So we know that, again, since this is really just referring to this, better to have a dry morsel of bread with quietness or prosperity. See, our prosperity is for godliness. It's not quantified in money. Do y'all remember what the Lord said in what you call it? Revelation chapter 3. When he told you, I counsel of you to buy what? Gold of me, tried in the fire, that you what? Might be rich. And he says that the kingdom of Elohim is for the poor who are what? Rich in faith. So the prosperity or the wealth that comes in word-wise that would make a man valuable is drastically different than somebody in the world, because our currency is different, if you would. You know what I'm talking about? The level of wealth that we are going to possess is different than the wealth that someone, because you're talking about fiat currency in the world. Let's just keep it buck. You know what I'm saying? That's not real money. You know what I'm talking about? Again, like we just referenced, what's in Proverbs 8, them durable riches. You know what I'm talking about? Those are durable riches. And like I said last night, and I probably said it before then, you cannot be considered high value in Shamahim until you have the Ruach HaKodesh. If you have that, then you're not a high value man in regards to what it is to be high value in heaven. See, the same way like what dude be mentioning, people look at, okay, if I ain't high value, what, am I worthless? And it's not even about if you're worthless or not. That's irrelevant, because again, like I said, this is a different type of conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because in order to be valuable, remember, to be useful to Elohim, is like we read last night, you have to purge yourself from the things that don't allow him to use you. You know what I'm saying? See, Elohim has a desire to use all, but you have to purge yourself from the things that inhibit him from doing such. Because he's not going to come hang out in a filthy house. How many of y'all like to hang out in filthy homes? You know what I'm talking about? Well, I ain't gonna tell you no lie, boy. I've been inside trap houses that are cleaner than some people's houses. You know what I'm talking about? I done been in trap house where niggas keep their trap clean, immaculate. You think somebody living? There's a nigga in the back smoking rocks though. But you know what I'm talking about? The niggas are up front, yeah. For real though, niggas don't feel like this is a trap. Like, look here, man, and put it to you this way. You walk in the trap, and if you see niggas dumping cigarette ashes on the floor, spitting on the floor, then guess what you feel like you can do? I do the same thing. Shoot, nigga, he pissing on the floor, I can piss on it too. You know what I'm talking about? But you know, you walk in somebody's house and be like, hey, boy, take them shoes off at the front door. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, man, eat back. Oh, this nigga care about his house. So you going to care about your house. You got no choice. Because if you feel like screw it, then he going to feel like screw it. Well, you going to look at it and say he slides through here. What's a lot of fornication? A lot of lying in here. A lot of idolatry in here. Nah, cuz, shut the door. You got mold in your soul. I can't hang out here. I won't come in here. It stinks. How many of y'all water somebody that, boy, it's stinking here? You know what I'm talking about? And some of y'all just sit there and be nice. Boy, it smells awful. And you trying to act like you going out. Some of y'all, when y'all smoke, y'all stayed outside in somebody's house when this thing. Where you going to smoke a cigarette? It's 20 degrees outside. I can good. You can smoke in the house. No, I'm straight, man. Oh, man. I like to smoke outside. I think better out the door. You're lying. You know people's house thing. You know what I'm talking about? You don't want to go in there. Everybody getting high in that house, and you going the only nigga outside smoking a cigarette. Ain't got no gloves on, hands cold. Matthew 23. I'm just using that as a visual description, so you can see that that's how he feels. Because if that house scrub clean, and like he said, when he knock on the door and you open, and he walk in, he like, oh yeah, I can hang out here. I'm gonna sit here and make my abode with you. He said, matter of fact, he said, you ain't got to go in your refrigerator. I brought food with me. You know what I'm talking about? That's what they gonna tell you. I brought food with me. You ain't even got to go in your refrigerator. Like, what? Yeah, we finna get ready to go somewhere. Oh, let me put some. Oh, you ain't gotta bring no clothes. What you mean I gotta get no clothes? I brought clothes with me. I got a fit for you. Put this on. You like, dang, you came to my house and brought food and clothes? That's how he rolled. That's how he rolled. You ain't got to bring nothing with you. You ain't got to take nothing of your own. I brought something with you. That's what I was waiting for you to clean the house so I can come in bearing gifts. But you ain't cleaned your house, so he ain't coming in there. And you steady talking about this, my door open, Lord, come on in. I think like, nah, I'm waiting on my homeboy to come on the corner. I ain't coming in here. Why you coming now, man? It's cold out here. It's nice and warm. I'm good. You know what? I just talked to the sun. He go up a couple degrees. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm talking about? Why I want that verse, man. Matthew 23:16, if you would. He said, "Woe unto you, you blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. You fools and blind, for whether is greater the gold or the temple that sanctify the gold? For whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing. But whoso swear by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. You fools and blind, for whether is greater the gift or the altar that sanctify the gift? Whoso therefore shall swear by the altar, swear by it, and by all things thereon. And who shall swear by the temple, swear by it, and by him that dwell therein. He that shall swear by Shamahim, swear by the throne of Elohim, and by him that sit thereon." That's how bad it was when they had people swearing on sacrifices. And deemed the sacrifice was greater than the house and the man who lived in the house. And that's how you have a house full of sacrifices with strife. You got controversy, you got trouble, you got all these sacrifices. Remember what he told you? That the sacrifice of the wicked is a what? An abomination. You know what I'm talking about? That man said he didn't even want that stuff. You got a wicked nigga, he telling lies, but I sacrifice pork. I'm in there. Man said, well, I don't care nothing about it. Let's even use something that's general, as simple as that. Let's go a little bit further. Niggas say, I keep Sabbaths, I don't eat no pork, I sacrifice that, but they won't sacrifice being unmerciful. They won't sacrifice being lacking compassion. They won't sacrifice unbelief. You know what I'm talking about? And you think that he gonna accept your sacrifice of not eating shrimp scampi. That man don't know that. You might as well ate the shrimp and the scallops. You know what I'm talking about? Ate your pork chop. Some of you niggas love the pork chop sandwich on a nice Sunday morning. You look like one of the types. You ain't like no pork chop sandwich? Thank the Lord. I ain't like them either. I ain't even care for them. I'm like, well, ain't no meat in this dog animal, man. For a ham, it's just vile. You know, I stopped eating pork long time. I ain't ate pork in 24 years. I started eating pork before I graduated from high school. You know what I'm talking about? I wasn't with it. That junk just disgusted me. You see what I'm saying? Outright just disgusted me. Vile beef. We were watching some movie the other day. Look at she reminiscing with that cheese. Sandwich spread. Oh, praise the Lord. Just make sure everyone talk about that old boar. Jeremiah chapter 7. Some of y'all look like y'all love that boar. Yeah. That nigga said that breakfast sauce. Monica, I say, I know I cook chicken sauce for him all the time. That's what he liked. I was not mad, boy. I ain't care nothing about that. And when I got a road, nigga, you don't eat pork, nigga, you come to jail, you don't eat pork. I'm like, nigga, I need pork before I got here. Nigga, I ain't one of you Muslim niggas. Yeah, nah, nigga feel like when you go to jail, now all of a sudden, oh, I don't eat pork, brother. Nigga, I didn't eat pork before I got here. I remember me say, nigga, you want to come to jail and read the newspaper? I'm like, nigga, I read the newspaper on the street. What's wrong with you niggas? You know what I'm talking about? But this is a sad indictment on our people that a nigga felt like that was the place to get incarcerated and read the newspaper. Nigga, you're not smart because you read the newspaper, nigga. I jumped sad because that nigga was serious though. That nigga was like, oh, nigga, you want to come to jail and read? I'm like, Lord have mercy. But sad state, you got niggas who like that. For y'all didn't mess with too many degenerates. You might have had a degenerate a time or two, but he wasn't the worst of the worst when it comes to degenerates. What we want? Jeremiah chapter 7. You can pick it up at verse 19. Bird. Come here, boy. Come here, boy. All right?
Yes.
Cool. You need to throw that away? Jeremiah 7:19. Do they provoke me to anger, saith Yahuwah? Do they provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man, upon beast, upon the trees of the field, upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn and shall not be quenched. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices and eat flesh. For I speak not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Israel concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices. But this thing I commanded them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your Elohim, and you shall be my people, and you will walk in all my ways that I have commanded you, that it might be well unto you. But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear. They walked in counsels and the imagination of their evil heart, and went backwards and not forwards. Yeah, they ate them sacrifices. When they went and sacrificed something in the temple, they just wasn't, that was sacrifice. Them boys chewed on that. Specifically the Levites. But sometimes the Levites break bread with the people. If he eat all this food, you brought 1,000 blocks in here. I can't eat all this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, them boys feasted on that. See, we were talking about the other night. I told about when you ain't want to eat cook nothing on the Sabbath. You remember that time I said, well, I'm going to get something to eat? You like, I'm going to. And I threw that junk in the microwave. She's like, what you doing? I said, I'm gonna give me something to eat. Well, we can eat nothing on the Sabbath. Shoot, you can eat a Sabbath. Yeah. I'm gonna warm up the food you got in the refrigerator. Nigga, I'm I don't know about that. Shoot, keep not knowing. That's just what I told her. She's like, that nigga, that's crazy. Play with it. Nigga around here eating cold cuts, eating cereal all day. Boy, nigga got me all messed up. Why you let me sit around here eating Fruit Loops? Straight up and down. That's how the nigga make you feel. You can't eat nothing but eat sandwiches and eat Fruit Loops all day. Nigga on the toilet all day long. You been drinking milk all day. Cinnamon Toast Crunch here, Frosted Flakes there. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga like, well, you gotta have your food prepared for the next day. How you gonna keep it warm, nigga? Oh, just keep the oven on low for the Sabbath come in. Line to me. Line to me. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga. Boy, it wasn't niggas won't even use the microwave. Yeah, niggas, well, you got some people, they ain't even use the microwave. It's still cooking hot. So, Liz, I'm gonna cook something all right. Mm-hmm. Like Jewish folks, they leave light on. Yeah, they leave the light on. Jewish people say they can't even cut the light off in the house. They can't cut it back on because that's causing fire. They use electricity. I said, I'm gonna call some fire, all right? Fire up that stove. So, yeah, they don't drive. That's why a couple of them got ran over on San Jose. Talking about they need to build them a bridge and walk across San Jose. Shoot, City of Jacksonville say, boy, you AOL. You know what I'm talking about? We ain't better than that. Shit, talking about they ain't gonna hit the traffic light. Well, stupid nigga, you better watch where you cross the street. Yeah, they said they couldn't hit the button because when they hit the button, that's electricity. The electricity is fire. So they went ahead and met the fire. They got ran over. Now they're going to beat up. Several of them Jewish people got ran over. Trying to go over there to that synagogue over there on San Jose. Nigga ain't driving. Lying to me. And I pull up. Lying to me, boy. I ain't with none of that. Cold cut my behind. You know what I'm talking about? I read good. I read that John say, these are the feasts of Yahuwah. Let off with the Sabbath. Then that place, it is lawful for every man must eat. Well, I'm gonna be like, shoot. Every man must eat. That means you better whip him up. Shoot. Whip him up. Ooh, me and Little Smiley used to be in the back on that grill, boy, like this here. Steaks and all. Straight up. Eric. Shoot, all the time. Feast days and nights. Sabbath and all. They said, boy, you gonna get the steak, boy. It's already at the house. Nigga, my stamp been here. Shoot, boy, I just got out of prison. We both had it. Yeah, I made something to eat. I made niggas around here like this here. Man, I'm tired of eating cereal every week. You have to sit there and ask yourself, it doesn't really love the Lord that you sitting around here. What this how dumb niggas is. What they didn't have refrigerator back then, boy? You think the people ate? They had to get the manna for twice. That's manna, boy. Didn't he tell you the manna didn't spoil? Well, you think you got some lamb in your tent and that ain't gonna stay fresh till tomorrow? Well, you a special type of stupid. You know what I'm talking about? If you really think these boy got lamb in their tent and he was gonna stay fresh till tomorrow. Cause how was they gonna keep the food good if they kept it Friday, cooked it Friday night? Or Friday afternoon? How was that food gonna be sustained all night to Saturday, to the 7th day? How was it gonna be maintained? They ain't had no ice box. Ain't no microwave. So I guess they just sat there hungry, eating grapes off the tree. Oh, it's the Sabbath. I'm so hungry. Nah, man. Them people ate, man. Them people chewed. And they chewed happily. You know what I'm talking about? Niggas sitting around here hungry, sad. That's saying I told you last night, they be like this here, niggas, they walk past you, they hungry. Sabbath come in, brother, I'm hungry, brother. Oh, brother, I just ate the last. I can't prepare you nothing to eat because it's the Sabbath. See, it's not lawful for me to cook upon this day, but I can give you this words of life, living bread. Man, get your cornballs out of here, man. You better go fix that man something to eat, boy. Boy, go whip that man something to eat, man. Or like this here, oh, it's not lawful for you to go to the store, brother. I know you're hungry and all. I can't buy you nothing to eat. Shoot, nigga, walk your stinking behind in that man. Go get that man some fiddles, boy. You gonna send that man away and be like, I did the Lord's work. See, I told him he was the Israelite. He hungry though. He hungry though. His stomach's still touching his back. You know what I'm talking about? See, some of y'all in your life ain't never had the green man come make you a visit. Ever had the green man come make you a visit? No, I ain't talking about that green man, nigga. I'm talking about that hungry man, nigga. Your stomach getting a knot, nigga. That joint make you curl over. You told all go hungry, nigga, and you ain't got $1 to your name. Even go get a debit tonight. Cabbage, what? Cabbage. Well, I'm talking about, but you open up that refrigerator, that nigga talk back to you. You open it up, you say hello, that nigga say hello. Ain't no food in here. You open up the cabinets, nigga, ain't nothing in there. The glasses. You know what I'm talking about? You know you're doing bad when all in the refrigerator, nothing but a pot of egg and rice. That's been in there for 5 days. That's what you've been eating on. You know what I'm talking about? Then you know you're doing even better when you got clothes hanging up in the house because they got an air dryer along with the eggs and rice. Ain't nothing in there but water and condensed milk. I believe. You know what I mean? Yeah, ain't nothing new. You steady open it like some new food gonna pop up and say, hey, I think you missed me the last time. Last time. Yeah, you do get creative. You go to look at that TV commercials and you go to salivating because you're hungry. You know what I'm saying? Now I get you on that. Hey man, I don't knock nobody prepare ahead of time, but man, people take that one verse in Exodus 35 about not making no fire, and they try to apply the instructions that are regarded specifically to the manna in Exodus 16, and Yahushua son of Nun chapter 5 lets you know that all the requirements for the manna ceased when they entered into the land. They no longer ate manna when they got in the land. They ate the fruit of the field when they came into the land. When he tell you to prepare double, that was for the manna. That was for the manna. When you read preparation day and John, what he talking about is to prep your mind to cease and desist from your own labors and rest in Elohim, because that's what the Sabbath is about. Ceasing and desisting from doing what it is that you do. You know what I'm talking about? See, we take them things, a lot of that stuff that we be doing, that's that Jewish people stuff. Well, you go read Leviticus 23 and say, these are the feast of Yahuwah specifically. And he led off with the Shabbat. The Shabbat is a moed. That is an appointed time. It's a weekly appointed time. The Shabbats the high Shabbats of the feast are appointed times in their seasons. But they all feast days. They all feast days. Never in the history of the living Elohim has he wanted anyone to gather up on his day and not for it to be a joy and a delight and a feast to honor his name. We have to be really simple to think that when the highest Shabbat of all time, you're going to be feasting. Don't be no fool. Don't let these people make no fool out you. You know what I'm talking about? Because what does he call the highest feast day ever? The marriage what? Supper of the Lamb. Because you're supposed to be recalling that when you feast on the Shabbat, you just sit back getting ready to rest and cease and desist with the Lord and get down and chew. You Jews, man, you chew every chance you get. When have you ever read when them people didn't get a chance to chew that they ain't chew? And niggas say, how exactly, it's supposed to be a joint. How you joining the life with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? That's a poor nigga sandwich. That's your lunch bag. Eat that on no feast day. How would you feel on Tabernacle? Nigga walk in, oh, what y'all cook? I'm ready to eat. Nigga walk in here with a plate full of peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You gonna slap that nigga with him. She look at you like that lasagna. That nigga was mad. Still mad, but that dog was 10 years ago. That was still mad. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm saying it in a funny fashion, but I'm also being serious though. Elohim give you what? The best of the best. Of the best. And just like he said, he wants it to be a joy and a delight. How you joyful and delightful and you waking up to, man, I gotta eat serious. Man, I gotta eat a sandwich. Like y'all know, cause we used to do it like that there, man, in the past. Boy, Shabbat's supposed to be feast, boy. You supposed to eat. You supposed to be happy. You supposed to be joyful. It's supposed to be a good time. You get you some work. You know what I'm talking about? You take a hit of that work. You know what I'm saying? You're high off the Lord. Now give me something to eat. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It ain't supposed to be no burden. It's supposed to be a good time. We done turn something that's a good time to be a burden because you feel like you have to adhere to these rules so ardently that you forgot the point of the rules. Let me get this here, then we'll proceed. Abraham, when he met Melchizedek, what did they do? Feasted. When Jacob, when Isaac was of age and got circumcised, what did they do? Feasted. When Jacob got his wives, what did they do? Feasted. You know what I'm talking about? And we continue because there's more. Every single opportunity that Yasharal had, these people was in the winter. They say Moses taking a long time. What did they sat down and do? What on with us in food? What?
Feast of Samuel when he got anointed.
Straight up and down. When Saul got anointed by Samuel, what they did? Man, get some food around here, man.
What had the best choice.
Top food. I mean, if you choose to fast on the Sabbath, that's your personal choice, but there's no instruction for anyone to fast on the Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, what you're supposed to be learning from the Shabbat is not fasting from food throughout the week, but can you fast from your fleshly desires and curb that? You know what I'm saying? But I say that's your choice. I don't knock no. Look here, if somebody want to eat cold cuts on the Sabbath, that's your business. I ain't gonna knock it. I ain't gonna do it. You know what I'm talking about? Because I don't eat cold cuts during the week. You know what I'm talking about? So I ain't mad at you. You want to fast on the Sabbath? I done heard dudes go back and forth and argue. You shouldn't fast on the Sabbath. Man, you want to fast on the Sabbath? That's your business. I'm not knocking you for whatever you do. I'm just letting you know what you can do and what you can't do. What you choose to do, I ain't got no problem with it. I'm not gonna pick on you about it. You want to fast every day of the week? That's your business. You know what I'm talking about? Shoot, I've seen people say they don't fast 3-4 days in a row. You know the level of spiritual fortitude you got to have to do that. I ain't mad at them. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at them at all. You know what I'm talking about? But I will say this here. Don't wait to fast on the Sabbath if fasting ain't on your mind during the week. You know what I'm saying? And then if you know you fasting, you need to be fasting with the right state of mind. You fasting for the purpose of being heard on high. That means your mind needs to be clearly and intuitively focused that you are seeking after Yahuwah for a specific thing. You know what I'm talking about? That way you don't need to be banded about with this, that, there, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, I know it's a lot more difficult to fast because people got to go to work. You know what I'm saying? This, that, there, and the third. But you can be at work and be focused on Elohim while you're fasting. Don't nobody need. And if you're fasting, don't nobody need to know that you're fasting. It ain't nobody's business. Keep that to yourself. And those of you ladies you married, y'all already know what to do. Let your husband know if you finna fast that you desire to fast. Because then you desire to fast, and then he like this, yeah, I need you to drop them draws. Then you looking at him crazy because you mad, because you want to fast, he want to hunch, but that's your fault. Because you ain't let him know that that's what you wanted to do. Because if you would have let him know that's what you wanted to do, then he could have been aware of that to not come at you in that fashion. You can't want to do something and then don't clue in to the man who's leading you, then get upset because he wants you to do something against something that you're doing that he didn't know about. You'd have done it. You know what I'm talking about? You're grown, open your mouth. You know what I'm talking about? It's not that difficult. Life is not hard. You want to fast, say, babe, I want to fast on such and such day. All right, cool. He may fast with you, but you want to fast now. You mad because you got to give it up. But I was fasting today. Shoot, I ain't got nothing to do with it. Because you feel like because you told him that he's supposed to disregard what it was he desired to do because you weren't adult enough to look him in the face and say, this is what I desire to do. Does that make any sense at all? It don't, but niggas do it. I know it's a woman somewhere in the word, somewhere in the earth, and decided she wanted to fast, didn't tell her husband. He came home like this here, ready to go. And she looking at him, but I'm supposed to be fasting. I know I'm fast on to the room. Get that fast. You know what I'm talking about? Because he done already had it set in his mind, and you feel like he's supposed to disregard what he has set in his mind to appease you because you not grown. You know what I'm saying? Because you ain't grown enough to say that's what you want to do. What's so hard about saying that? Do you know how much confusion would be removed in life, period, if you just opened your mouth and stated what it is that's on your brain so a conversation can be had? But no, you want to pile it up on the inside. You know why niggas bottle stuff on it? I already know what they're going to say. So what is you a prophet now? Miss Cleo? You don't know what somebody going to say till you say it. You know what I'm talking about? How many niggas that had a thought that you thought you knew how somebody was going to react, and then they did not react in the fashion that you thought they were going to do? You felt like a real dummy in your brain. Dang, they didn't say what I thought they were going to say. You know what? That's your silly behind. You created a scenario in your head that didn't exist because you thinking about a million and one ways how it's going to happen instead of just being a woman and being a man, nigga, and having the intestinal fortitude to look somebody in the face and have a conversation and get it over with. You niggas not in high school no more. Some of y'all done pushed whole human beings out your vagina. You know what I'm talking about? Some of you niggas done work more hours in your adult life than you ever could have imagined. Or you could sit down and talk about anything. Some of y'all done work with some people that you wanted to kick dead in their teeth. Having a conversation should be the least of your concerns. We threw it, Jeremiah said, man. Come over here, one thing about dealing with a lying lips. Let me come back to Proverbs 17, man. Go ahead and yeah, I stopped at 24. Basically, you could take your sacrifices and go eat them, because I don't want it. Let's look at verse 4, right? A wicked doer in Proverbs 17, give heed to false lips, and a liar to a naughty tongue. I want you to look at a wicked doer, right? Of course, you know that's Ra'ah. That's somebody who likes to participate in mischief. Now, of course, you have false. I want you to look at false, and that is Avon, and that is wickedness, sorrow, trouble of iniquity. Aleph, U, and Noon, but we're not going to deal with them characters on that. I just want y'all to have the explicit definitions of the words contained in this verse, because we're going to finish with verse 1. I'm going to deal with the other verses that came after it. Excuse me. Now, of course, you have liar. That is shakur. That is somebody who deceives, falsehood, injurious testimony. Also a false deceived, self-deceived prophet. And then, of course, you have a naughty tongue, which is hapa. That is somebody who is seeking destruction or calamity. We just mentioned that word last night. So a wicked doer is going to give heed to a deceitful language or speech. So the first place that we want to go look at that in that regard is, well, let me ask you this here. What do y'all think that's going to end at? Well, it's going to end with the beast. But we have to look at things before we get to the point of it ending with the beast. So before I get to that, come back to Matthew 23, actually. Matter of fact, for Matthew 23, Matthew chapter 12. Matthew chapter 12. Because I'm trying to think of somebody who explicitly lied And I was finna go grab Korah, but Korah didn't really lie. You know what I'm saying? But he was naughty. So we probably use that because he did have a naughty tongue. So because what does the word say about those who like to be involved with running to mischief? That's one of the things that you will hate. Feet that are swift to running to mischief. Remember what we read last night that we're talking about Judas? What song that was? 59. No, I'm talking about last night. So I think it was Psalm 59. No, excuse me, my apologies. That was Micah chapter 7. You know what I'm saying? Let me read that to you real quick. Well then, that came out the wall. Renee. I need to stick that because all three of them gone. No one. Very well, Renee. Oh yeah, Micah 7:3. Remember what it says, right? The prince and the judge ask for reward, and the great man he utter his mischievous desire. So they wrap it up. You know what I'm talking about? So then when you turn around, we come to Matthew chapter 12, right? I want 12 and 33. 12 and 33. So you have to be careful with that, right? That basically the point of that verse is somebody who's evil and does wrong is always going to hearken to someone who tells lies and who does evil and has a desire to injure and destroy. You know what I'm saying? That's why most of the people listen to the scribes and Pharisees. Remember what we read last night when you seen the witness of the people cursing themselves with their own lips? That was Psalm 59. When they was as it's written that you could see where they would say, why I said, oh, let his blood be upon us on our seed. See, it's already written. See, a lot of people do that. A lot of people curse their own self with their own lips because of their own mischievous desires, because they have a desire to hearken to liars. They have a desire to listen to people who seek to destroy. So why do I say that? That's why you see a lot of people delve off into African spirituality or this, whatever the stuff that they're dealing into. And again, that goes back to the point, if you're high value in heaven, nobody don't want to hear. You gotta understand something, right? This is the difference of somebody who is high value in the earth does not have standards. When we're talking about standards of all around conduct, he may have standards for who he does business with. He may have standards for who he will marry. You know what I'm talking about? But he doesn't have standards on how he conducts himself that he has to hold to because there's an extreme consequence if he does not. You know what I'm saying? His ethics and morals are dictated on whatever he wants to set them by. But somebody who serves the living Elohim, he has a standard that was set from the foundation of the world, that not only that he must hold himself to, but that Elohim is holding himself to, who Elohim did not even compromise it for Elohim. He didn't even compromise it for himself. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. So when you're in the world, and this is what you're proclaiming, you're not going to be accepted by the world in Massey. That's not going to happen. These people are going to reject you. They don't want nothing to do with you. And it's not you being a douchebag or a-hole with it, because at the end of the day, put it to you this way. What got John the Baptist head cut off? Told, but what got him locked up? Because he looked what he just said. He told them, well, it's not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. You know what I'm saying? Well, what is you doing, boy? But we don't do that over here, boy. You violent. You know what I'm saying? They locked him up. You know what I'm talking about? Remember what it said? They teaching laws and customs that ain't lawful for us to keep, considering that we Romans. Boy, they wanted to kill Paul and Barnabas because they had them cast that unclean spirit. Said, boy, we made a lot of money off this girl, man. What you doing? Why they kill these niggas? Man, they messing with the money. When you look at Yahweh himself, What did the scribes and Pharisees say when they came to holler at Cassius? They say, boy, if we let him keep going, boy, we're gonna lose our place in the nation, or we're gonna lose our money, boy, and our status in this, that, and the third. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's what they were concerned with, because they considered themselves to be high value by their title and their status amongst the people. Because contrary to popular belief, in Iberine culture, you weren't considered to be high status necessarily because you had wealth. You were going to be considered to be high status if you were from Judah or Levi, because you would be a part of the priest class or the royal class. And that's why somebody from Zebulon can have money and you were not going to be considered of high status, or if you were a son of a prophet. Those were the three groups of people who were going to be held in high esteem amongst the people as a whole. They didn't really care about money. You know what I'm saying? You can have money, but if you ain't a priest, nigga, who is you? You know what I'm talking about? You ain't nobody to us. Why? Because who ran the society? The priests did. You know what I'm saying? The wealthy amongst our people did not run the society, because the priests were the ones who Elohim dictated to teach the law. Therefore, they had the authority to judge and condemn people. You know what I'm saying? Somebody from Naphtali didn't have that authority to do that. Somebody from Reuben and Simeon didn't have that authority to do that. Somebody from Asher ain't had that authority to do that. Then once the kingship was taken away, Judah, for the most part, is marginalized. Because you ain't got no king sitting on the throne for nobody to pay attention to you. Somebody in Ephraim, you marginalized because the northern kingdom is gone. So when you talk about during the time of Yahushua and you have left, what do you have left? You have the sons of Aaron and the Levites, and they end up becoming the ones who dictate what is going on. Because who came up with all these rules that were contrary to the words? It was the priests.
I thought
I mean, some of them but again, it's on the priest. Because remember, you say the priest judge for reward.
Right.
So because that's their desire to have it, they already crooked. And you can. See, there's no judgment in forth as the laws is concerned. These niggas just coming up with traditions on their own. No. Because they can't change the law. Because the word is the word. But when you coming in and you saying, okay, I can bribe this nigga to influence him, it's a controversy between parties, or I could shoot him a few bullocks. I can shoot him this here, he'll judge in my favor. Or if, oh man, hey man, don't prophesy that, bro. Prophesy that right there. But at the end of the day, because they got to come to him, to them to do that, because at the end of the day, the priests have more power. And not do it. You know what I'm talking about? Because the wealthy in our society didn't have power like wealthy has society power in this society. You know what I'm talking about? The priests had way more power. And then on top of that, our law dictate you got to hit the priest off. So just imagine that.
Well, I was gonna say the high priest got moved from the king, didn't he? At a certain point.
Yeah, I mean, because the king can't dictate all. King's going to the high priest, holler at him, saying, hey, what do Yahuwah say? It was only a couple kings that didn't have to go directly to who went straight to Yahuwah, David being one. That's all they could do. Policy. You know what I'm saying? As far as taxing and decree, like I said, like David's really the only king you see making decrees, like coming up with the division of offices or courses for the priests. You know what I'm talking about? Ordaining psalms. But of course, more than anything, I'm talking about during the time of Mashiach. You know what I'm saying? The priests were the dominant people. You know what I'm saying? And we already know the priests don't have no wealth. Because they had what? No inheritance. So their wealth came from doing their service to the people. You get somebody in there who greedy for filthy lucre, understanding that their wealth come from the people, they can use their position to manipulate the money out of the people. You know what I'm saying? And get that from them. I'm not talking about present time, my G. I ain't talking about present time. I'm more talking about during the time of the Lord. More so that time. Because truth be told, don't nobody got no power. You know what I'm saying? Even in this present time, they ain't got no power. Their power comes straight from the wicked one. Truth be told, it don't matter what time of society it is. Your power either come from on high or it come from the wicked one. You know what I'm saying? But definitely our people now don't got no power because somebody else is. You never have power when someone else is paying you in the midst of a society. If you don't have control of the society and you dictate the mandates of the society, you don't have any power. Jay-Z don't got no power. The federal government can make up something and take Rock Nation or whatever he got, and he has absolutely nothing. Period, point blank. There's nothing he can do about it. To sit there and be ugly and try to start all over again. Ain't nothing he can do. And that's a reality that our people don't want to look at, especially when you're dealing with. And that's why Bruss say when he talk about how he don't even count celebrities and entertainers and athletes because they don't count. Because you didn't build it, he didn't do nothing. You know what I'm talking about? You didn't do nothing. You running up and down a field or a basketball court is not the same as somebody who put in work for 10 to 15 years to build their money up. Nigga, you didn't do nothing. A nigga who sings and raps, nigga, you didn't do anything. And on top of that, nigga fronted you that bread. You know what I'm talking about? And you in debt. So that junk ain't even what it ain't even what it's cut out to be. You just get an illusion of niggas on the internet and in video. These niggas broke. Niggas don't even own you don't even own your intellectual property. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who owns and runs and controls their stuff, they own their stuff. You take an example, Vince McMahon owns every single solitary name of almost every wrestler who has ever worked for him. When them people leave and go to another company, they cannot wrestle under the name that they had when they were in his company. It is only a handful of people who own their name. Hulk Hogan owns his name. You know what I'm saying? He owns that name. Macho Man owned his name. No, he don't. He don't own The Rock. Doesn't own that. Yeah, people call him that. But he couldn't go to another wrestling promotion and wrestle as The Rock. Because Vince McMahon is going to sue him. That's why when you turn around and you see The Rock got a clothing line with Under Armour, none of those clothes say The Rock. He does not own that. I'm mentioning that because Sting popped up in the wrestling promotion here, but Sting owns his name. But Sting never wrestled in WWF. He owned his name before that. See, what ends up happening with it is the same thing happened to Kevin Durant when he was getting ready to leave, when he had a chance to leave Nike and go to Under Armour. He did not trademark that KD logo. See, he waited too long. And then Nike trademarked it, and Under Armour was giving him a better deal. Since Nike owned that logo, he stayed where he was at because Nike owns that intellectual property. That's why Kawhi was trying to sue them. That's my logo, and the people say, "No, cuz that's their logo." Because you should have took the time if that's what you was gonna do, and you made it to trademark it before you took your stupid behind over there. Or just like Mike Tyson said, he got screwed on Mike Tyson Punch Out on royalties because he signed a bad deal because they don't know you don't own it. If you don't own it, control it, that's why we were talking about the other day, everybody arguing about people who got a mortgage or a rent. It's the same. You don't own it. Until them people put that deed in your hand, that's not your house. Because it's not your house if another person can take it if you stop paying on it. That is an illusion that the bank is allowing you to believe you own. This is a different. You own the house, but the bank has control. Meaning, you own it, meaning if something go wrong, if the AC go out, if the roof go bad, you got to pay for that. But the minute you stop paying me, I can take it back and sell it to another nigga. So you don't really own that. You don't own that until you've paid for it because you're in debt. Just like this here, man. The book tell you that the borrower is the servant to the lender, and then we live in a society that tell you get your credit score up so that you can pay interest to make another nigga rich. And you feel proud about my credit score 850. So you proud to be a debtor. You know what I'm saying? Never in the history of the world have you seen any society that was founded and ran by people being in debt. Go look at history and read it for yourself. And that's when you have to ask yourself, okay, they're running a game. Because you're not going to find that in ancient Egypt. You're not going to find that in ancient Sumer. You're not going to find that anywhere. That's true. Now, if you don't pay your property tax, the government will take it because that's just the house, the land. But that's another conversation. You don't pay your property tax, they don't take your house too. But that's another conversation with the Uniform Commercial Code because slaves are not allowed to have property. But see, people don't want to have that conversation because it destroys the illusion of freedom and wealth and all this other stuff that you done allowed these stinking funky white folks to sell you that you done purchased because you like to give heed to wicked doers who got naughty lips. And you thinking that you living high off the hog instead of understanding that I'm a stranger and a pilgrim in the earth, and those that confess such things and say that they see the city where Elohim is not ashamed to be called their Elohim, and the foundation of that city is built by Elohim. You just understand I'm passing through. Again, go look at ancient China. Go look at in Asia Minor. Just go study his. See, when you don't know history, when you don't do nothing but watch TV and videos, then you're not aware of how society was constructed in the game that these people are running. No society in the history of the world has ever been built off credit. That is a game to get other people rich off the backs of the middle class and the poor, because the rich don't go into debt unless it's debt to make them money. They don't go take out no mortgage. Them people will rent that house or buy that house in its totality because they don't want that type of debt. You know what I'm saying? They don't want that type of debt. They don't want that type of debt. See, there's a difference. Poor people been told, poor people been told to go into debt because they don't rent a center in no white neighborhood nowhere. You know what I'm talking about? And Rent a Center is a price gouging organization because you're going to pay 3 to 4 times more than whatever it is that you rented from them. And they know it because they know that you do not have the monetary resources to buy it whole. You want it now, and you're willing to go into debt to get it versus just stacking your bread up and buying it. Now, see, this is a lesson I was taught at 19 years old when Community First was still called Educational Community Credit Union. When that lady pulled me to the side, when I opened my account and she said, "Baby, you want to buy a car?" I said, "Of course." She said, "Well, how you want to buy it?" I said, "Elaborate." She said, "You can buy it with cash or you can finance." I said, "Explain." When she explained, I said, "I'd rather buy my car whole whenever possible." Whenever possible. Why would I want to go in debt for something that's going to lose value and that I'm going to get rid of, that I'm not going to keep for the life of the vehicle? Makes no sense. And she explained it to me in that fashion. Now, that was just a blessing that somebody took the time to explain that. Because I didn't know. She was like, "Okay, you get the car, that's such and such. It loses its value, boom, boom, boom. What you going to do? You're going to try to trade it in, or this, that, and the third. If it gets broke down," and then she said, "If you buy it whole, you ain't got to worry about it." I say, "I like that. I'd rather buy it home because I own it. It's mine. Nobody can't tell me. Nobody can't come and be like, now you got to hide your car in the garage, park it backwards, park around the corner, ducking the repo man." You know what I'm saying? And the saddest part, and then I'll move on. You know the saddest part, the people who propagate you having a high credit score the most simplest gender on the face of the earth, and that's women. Because a woman will look up, "Oh, you got an 850 credit score, but he broke." No, baby. You never broke with credit. Lying to me. This nigga's in debt. You'll look at a nigga crazy who got a 450 credit score but got $400,000, and look at a nigga with googly eyes who got an 850 credit score and he can't pay his rent. He got good credit. He's responsible. But he broke. Well, not to say he living paycheck to paycheck because all his paycheck going to make sure his credit score high. At least if you're going to get credit, leverage it to make you some money. Because at least if you got the debt and you need to eliminate the debt, you can take the asset that you was leveraging and sell it and get yourself out of debt and at least be liquid and get some man of equity and go do something else. That's what white people do. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know that because your people post. So how they going to know that to tell you that? And then all you want to do is hang out with niggas who smoke Newport, Black and Miles, and switch your sweets. Irk and Dirt. You know what I'm talking about? And gin and puffy juice. Some of y'all look like y'all like that puffy juice. You like Ciroc, didn't you? Yeah, they say that when you drink that Ciroc, they say you go to moving fund. Matthew 12 and 33. You notice all his vodka got sweet flavors to it? Exactly. He put something in there. He sprinkled puffy dust in there. You don't want to drink that. Not Pepsi does. There's puffy dust in there. Next thing you know, you're going to go and want to dance and look at that nigga like he looked that fabulous. You don't want to do that. Type of nigga to me, I want some peach to rock. Nigga, I want no peach. Yeah, no peach 10, nigga, no peach vodka. Nigga, that's gay. Yeah, that's what he say. But always men with it, though. It's for the ladies. Man, Matthew 12, let me leave y'all on. Matthew 12, 33. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and its fruit corrupt. That nigga Sean said that was utterly disgusting. For the tree is known by its fruit. O generation of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak good things out of the abundance of the heart? The mouth speak. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bring forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bring forth evil things. So that's the difference, right? So if you're a naughty doer, of course you're going to give heed to somebody who's speaking naughty things. Of course you are. Why would you not? Let's look at Korah with his thinking behind. Number 16. With his thinking behind. Now, you know, I always mention certain stuff, man, just for us to gain perspective and understand the reality of the place that we dwell in, and for us not to be overly invested in a system that is meant to exploit. See, capitalism in and of itself is an economic system. It's based off competition. You know what I'm saying? It's really what it's based off of. It's based off competition. You know what I'm talking about? Whoever got the best service and the best product is going to win. But now, of course, they've added things into capitalism for the purpose of exploiting people, especially when you don't know. That's what it's based off of. But unfortunately, that's what competition breeds, because competition can breed a win at all cost attitude in certain people. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who participates in capitalism does not have a win at all costs, but most do. That's why your environment is messed up in this country, because I got to make profit at all costs. You know what I'm saying? That's why some people get paid what they get paid, because I got to make profit at all costs. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care about you. That's why they'll sell you GMO foods. That's why they'll give you birth control this and birth control that. That's why they'll sell you drugs. You know what I'm saying? That's why I can say rental places. That's why you remember that stuff. A title loan spots, that's exploitation at its finest. Payday loan spots, exploitation at its finest. And when I say exploitation, seeking to exploit people who are in bad financial positions, who don't really know how finance works, in order to get an exorbitant amount of money out of them for the least amount of money. You know what I'm saying? They're really loan sharks, doing what the mob do, charging you 200 to 300% interest on every dollar, and think that junk cool. That's why when y'all turned 18, that's why you ended up getting a whole bunch of letters from credit card companies, because they were seeking to get you. Because they want to know, we put this card in this 18-year-old's hand, it's going down. He said harvest instead of public, but we know he down south, he know about some harvest. When Dixie wasn't that bad, because that's all it is. It done went downhill in the last 15 to 20 years. Wasn't that bad in the 80s and 90s. Now it's just deplorable. Yeah, only the ones where the white people stay.
Yeah, I said, white people stay, it's nice.
White people. The white people. It's always going to be good for the white folk. You know what I'm saying? We're just talking about the organization as a whole. Because Harvest ain't number Winn-Dixie, Southeastern Grocers. So, man, I remember back in the day, niggas didn't go to Publix. Niggas don't care nothing about going to Publix no more. They say, I paid them extra couple dollars. It's what they say. You know what I'm talking about? That's what they say. That done got even bad. Like, niggas don't even rush to run to Walmart no more. But that comes better. Oh, yeah, you know, Harvest, man, Harvest, Winn-Dixie, man, that's based in Jacksonville, man. That's where it started at. Oh, boy, you crawling, boy?
Gotcha.
Well, you out here, man. What's up, boy?
Oh,
And you got 2 teeth. What's up with you, boy? What's up with you, boy? Your mama slicked your bite this morning? He hit you with the pro jam. Where we at, man? Come over here, verse 16, chapter 16. You can pick it up at verse 1. Yeah, when Dixie and Harvest is the same thing, man, for the most part.
I think when Dixie buying at Walmart.
Shoot, boy, I ain't buying number wall from Walmart, but things that have nothing to do with food.
Serious.
I mean, it depends on the public. You know, we talking about if like you going to buy like chicken, fish, things of that nature. Shoot, might as well eat dirt. Oh, bro, say what's that garbage store on Edgewood? That's hell to me. That nigga. You talking about star meat? Oh man, bro, say what is that garbage store on Edgewood? What you have to do them black folks like that, man? Yeah, they do. You know what I'm saying? What's the other people? Dang, what's the name of? Oh, Carol's. I bet it is, shoot. It's right around the corner.
Oh, no, he's talking about Star.
Yeah, he talking about Star, but I said the other one is Carol's. Carol's Meat Shop. There's one right here on University. Then you know you got the one over there off Tallulah. And you got one on St. Augustine Road. Doshers, now ain't no Doshers down here. Yeah, that's a little too far south. Man, ain't no grocery stores in Northeast Florida. Ain't nothing around here but Aldi, doggone Winn-Dixie / Harvest, Publix.
Yeah, Rose.
Oh yeah, Rose. You got Rose and Roses. Oh, I forgot about this shit. Nigga don't go to Save-A-Lot. Save-A-Lot right there on the corner of Accessory and Merrill. Man, you walking Save-A-Lot over there, man, on Accessory, boy. But you think it's about 1,000 roaches in that store. That's how that store make you feel. Like roaches just like to sit salute. Huh? I know you told me about them roaches in the cake. They got roaches in the cake. Make sure you're late, nigga. Come on. Number 16-1. Oh yeah. He mentioned Fresh Market on the Riverside. Now I've been to Fresh Market a couple times. I be forgetting about the little small stuff. Then you got that Sprouts and this, that, then the third. You know, Lil Muffin love Aldi. Shoot, you and D love Aldi. Y'all some Aldi people. You been to Aldi? Oh, she said she go to Sprouts. She got good money.
I like Sprouts.
Yeah, no, Sprouts got grade A fish though. Let's continue. Number 16 though. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Elab, On, the son of Pelab, sons of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with certain of the sons of Yasharal, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron and said, you take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation of Kadash, every one of them, and Yahuwah is among them. Wherefore then you lift up yourselves against the congregation of Yahuwah. Oh, that's rough right there. That sounds like a hate nigga to me. Let me get back up to the verse of what we use. So we can make it. Now, what is that one now? Boom, boom, boom. A wicked doer give heed to false lips, and a liar give ear to a naughty tongue. So now, anyone who says like this here, right? If you are not a wicked doer, because not at any time did Moses and Aaron set themselves above the congregation. They never even conducted themselves in such a fashion. So this what you see is Korah being a wicked doer and having a naughty tongue, because what did he say he went and did? He rose up before Moses and had already spoken to the ears and gathered up people to ride with him in his naughty doings and the lies that he was telling. When you look at verse 3, did he not just lie on Moses? He did just lie on him. Because remember, right, in Numbers 12, how did Yahuwah describe Moses? The meekest man on the face of the earth. Somebody who's the meekest man on the face of the earth would not take too much upon him and lift themselves up among over the people to rule over them. Why did Korah do this? Because he wanted that position. And why is that the case? Because how did the scribes, when you read Matthew 7, right, after Yahushua got finished preaching, what did they say he spoke as? A man that had what? Authority. Not as how the scribes spoke. That's how it's what it said, right? Say he didn't speak like them. When you notice every time the Lord spoke, how were the scribes feeling? Oh, he lifting himself up. He doing this, he doing that. This is their attitude. Because in reality, they played the role of Korah, and Yahushua is playing the role of Moses. You know what I'm saying? And what did they end up doing with having a naughty tongue and being a wicked doer? They spoke lies in order to get this man taken. Because what did they end up doing? They end up getting what? False witnesses, along the vein as how Jezebel got false witnesses for Naboth in order to what? Get this person killed. And what happened? What does the law tell you not to do? To not follow after a false matter and to not run with the multitude to do iniquity. Well, you're going to run with a multitude to do iniquity when you're a wicked doer because you're going to give heed to false lips. And if you are and you're also going to give heed to a naughty tongue or a tongue that is seeking to cause ruin and destruction. This is what Korah was seeking to do. It says a liar gives ear to a naughty tongue. I'm going to speed this up right in regard to the end part. When you deal with the beast, of course, we know that what is he going to do? He's going to speak. He's going to have the ability to look like a lamb, but he's going to speak like a serpent. So we know the serpent is a whisperer. He is a liar. And it says that everyone's names who was not written in the Lamb's book of life is going to give heed to this liar. But why are they giving heed to this liar? Because they are liars. Why are they going to give heed to his false lips? Because they do wickedly. So they're going to want to continue. Now, we discussed this for many years, over the course of years, man. And I know it's hard to believe until you actually lay your eyes on it, that people are going to be plagued by all manner of plagues from heaven and still will not repent and will continue in their wicked deeds. And I know that is hard to picture and fathom in your mind, because you would think, well, when all these plagues come down, people are going to repent. They're not. They're not. They're going to blaspheme harder because they hate the man. Put it to you this way, just on a natural sense, right? When we look at Black women specifically, they put themselves in a lot of negative situations in regards to not wanting to deal with Black men. And yet they will not deal with some and be alone. And that's the same token with the word. Man can come through and love this whole nigga. What are you coming over here trying to do that for? You know what I'm saying? This, that, there, and the third, when this person is actually coming for your benefit. But why are you putting this person here? Because you really despise his masculinity. Because you want to be a man. That's the point we're getting to. People despise Elohim. Why? Because they want to be Elohim. So since they can't be Elohim, then I'm going to take my resentment out on you because I'm not you, and I can't do what you do, and I'm going to reject you. Because remember, it said that the scribes that Pilate knew that they had brought Yahushua to them for what? Envy. When you're envious of someone, you want to be them. And instead of coming to them, see, a woman, she can never be a man. That's why you have a gender war in our society, because you have women who want to be men. They really want to be men. They want to do what men do. They want to move how men move, and they want the power that they perceive men to have. And when they can't have it, they get mad. That's why a man can sleep with a bunch of women, but when a woman does it, she's a whore, because you are a whore. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that a man is not a whore, but baby, you are a whore. You were not created to do that. But why can a man do it? See, that's your problem, ho. You worry about what a man can do instead of being focused on what you're supposed to be doing. So you ain't never gonna get nowhere in life. Hold on, Sean, I got you. You ain't gonna never get nowhere in life. I'm trying to think of another thing that women say that men can do, and why can men do it? Like I said, we got to tear down the patriarchy. So what they really want to do is, women want to rule. And I ain't gonna lie to you. I would rather live in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean than to dwell in any society that is ran exclusively by women. Dead serious. I ain't being fun. I'm like dead serious. Just because I'm talking, what the Lord said, it's better for you to dwell in a house than to be in a home, a roof, than to be in a home with a contentious woman. And if you think ain't gonna be no contention with hormonal, periodically over ovulating women ruling the world, boy, you got to be crazy. Y'all don't even want to follow a woman. So why would I? You know what I'm talking about? Why would I? And then they have power to cause wars and make policy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I live on a houseboat. So would defecate and urinate right in the ocean. I'd rather not. It says sharks all around your boat, they gonna kill you. Well, shoot, take me to the king then, because I'm not going. I'm not going over. I'm not living over there. And they setting you up for that. Like I told you, you ain't even paying attention. They put an old half-breed, bald-headed maggot slut hole in the second most powerful office in the United States of America, and you don't think these people finna get ready to tear this thing down? What y'all gonna do when Sleepy Joe die and your president is a lady named Kamala? You're named after a wrestler. Sleepy Joe. Joe always falling asleep. That's what Trump called him, Sleepy Joe. I liked it, that one. That was fun. Well, I'm gonna miss that. That crack funny. I miss that. That crack funny, man. Or a naughty tongue is a tongue that seeks to cause destruction or has a desire to do wrong. I miss that crack funny. That cracker is. Since he done lost, he been keeping on the low. He don't want to be on TV cracking jokes. He don't want to make tweets ranking on nobody. Come on, man, you supposed to go out the door strong, man. You supposed to go. You came in like a G League, like one. Rank on everybody on your way out the door. You know what I'm talking about? For real. That nigga say Pocahontas. He said they married him about the China virus. How could you say that? Because it came from China. What that nigga on? Cracker is funny. That cracker is funny. Well, he ain't been a funnier president since George Bush. And George Bush wasn't trying to be funny. Well, I ain't gonna say that he was trying to be funny because that man ain't stupid. He just that's the role he had to play. He had to play the role of the dumb Texan. You don't get that kind of money if you're stupid. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know your people had bread, but you don't get that kind of money if you're stupid. Yeah, no. That doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen. Where are we going? Oh, I think we're discussing this. Let's look at more so which got them boys killed, man. Come on over here to about verse 8. Now remember what Moses told Corrado, right? He said, Yahuwah gonna show tomorrow who is his and who is Kadash, who he done caused to come near to him, and whom he have chosen. You know what I'm saying? See, that's another thing. And I want this to be clear for everybody. Well, I don't care what damn nigga say out his mouth. Well, Yahuwah is the determined, like I say, right? Have we all remember in time past we done look at how you can see who is chosen? The book tells you the characteristics where you can see who's been chosen. It's not a great mystery. You know what I'm talking about? Don't try how niggas act like you don't know who God chose. You lying to me. You is lying to me. Are y'all aware that the book tell you can tell who chose you? You weren't. No, I mean you weren't here for that. So of course I would expect. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, the text lays out explicitly. Y'all remember the word for chosen, right? It's bakar. Black cotton rocks. Those who have been separated by the son of Elohim. So you can be able to look at and see who he has chosen because they will have it's not they got a light shining on them. They behave and conduct themselves in a certain fashion. They have bowels of mercy. They have love. They have faith. They have meekness. There's a multitude of things that they possess that you can be able to look at and tell that's one of Elohim's chosen. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard to tell. It's not, like I said, it's not a great mystery. People tell me you don't know who. Come on, man. What type of father do you think we got that you just walk around and don't know? Because ain't that's how most brews put stuff that don't nobody know nothing about nothing. But when you read the text, they knew who was chosen and who wasn't. You know what I'm saying? They knew. They knew, boy. Oh yeah, that's one of you. think the people ain't know Samuel was chosen? It was evident. As wicked as Saul was, they knew who had chose Saul. So you think ain't nobody knew that David was chosen? So you ain't think nobody knew that Solomon was chosen? Well, he told his mammy and David, "I'm gonna choose him to be my king." Just straight bucked his other brothers. You know what I'm talking about? So you think ain't nobody know John the Baptist, and Yahushua, and Isaiah, and Jeremiah, and Ezekiel, and none of these people were chosen, and they all had a common theme. They all behaved themselves in the same fashion. It ain't hard to tell. No, your knees went to hurt. You getting old. Oh, I forgot. You got a baby now. That ain't even a baby yet. That's just a fetus. He ain't even kicking yet. You ready for another boy? Oh, you ready for it? No, I'm just saying you can have a desire. You desire that.
I'm okay with you.
What you want, Monte? She said she okay with either one, but she said you ain't okay with either one. What you desire? He wants a girl. That what you want?
I want. He says whatever it is. Say
Yeah, that's interesting because men don't really determine that according to science. Yeah. According to science. Now, of course, according to Yahuwah, you get what he gives. But according to science, they say the woman determines that. But, no, that's right. We was looking at it say because she asked. That's what we was looking at, like the baby. They said the woman determines how the son's penis size is based off the amount of testosterone that she has in her while the baby is in utero. And it was like basically like a woman's breast size is determined by how much estrogen that she has in utero and then when she hits puberty. No, I showed it to him. I had read that before, but it's based off testosterone. No, it's testosterone. Because no, she just heard that male pattern baldness comes from your man. Baldness comes from your mama's side. Because that means that she gave off. She gave off less. She was right there. Yes, she was. But listen, right? When you talking about genitalia, breast, things of that nature, that's hormonal. So see, genetics deals with body type, hair type, facial features, things of that nature. But when you talking about like that's all hormonal. Like it's not you're like, oh, my mama got big titties, I'm gonna have big titties. No, it's estrogen. Like if you have a low, because I just seen a chick that say she was using some form of birth control. She said something about when she was 13, and because she took that birth control, it stopped her estrogen production, and she has the breast that she had at 13 now in her 30s because it inhibited her estrogen production, and therefore that's why she got the titties that she got. So, but that's estrogen. You know what I'm saying? But for his men, because you have to realize in order to produce seed, what makes a man is testosterone. So when babies begin in the womb, allegedly, according to science, they're female. So, and then eventually, like it morphs if it's going to be a penis or it's going to be a clitoris, and that's what it is. So if the mother doesn't have a lot of testosterone in her system, that is going to inhibit how manly that child is going to be in the womb. See, some little girls, you come out, you see the little baby girl, they look like a whole bunch of niggas. Shoot, mama had a lot of testosterone in her. You be like, dang, that's a manly looking baby. Shoot, mom Dukes around here eating steak and everything else. Plenty. So I mean, it's a lot of testosterone in this thing. You say, let it shoot. What if it's another boy? I mean, the legacy of the Van Dykes go strong, boy, 3 feet. Cool. You want as many sons as possible because they might not put out no boys. Definitely is. That's a blessing to have boys. The seed go on long, strong. That's it. They can't. Girls, your name, their legacy stop. That ain't your seed no more. That's another nigga wise. I seen a nigga today talking about, boy, I want to teach my daughter if she get married, she has to relinquish everything I taught. Why you giving your daughter to somebody? She got to forget everything you taught. I got his point. I'm saying she got to submit, but still, let's roll this verse 7. I know that's what people say. I don't want to hear all this. I don't care what you want to hear. Go on another time.
Oh.
Shoot, you need to know it. Shoot, you say she got a boy, you better give her some testosterone. You don't want him out here looking like a white man. Give her some testosterone. Go to the store, get them testosterone. Give her some macaroon. Well, shoot, no, Yahuwah gave you a boy. You just fooled yourself to believe in birth control birth, and he deceived you. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, husky nigga too. You had plenty of testosterone going on to you. That boy came out. Wow. That nigga, shoot, that nigga was a big baby. You can't see how big his head was. She was ruined for about 3.5 months straight. She couldn't walk. And I ain't even being funny. That serious. That nigga was messed up. Man. That was a big old boy to push out. That nigga was born just that size. So he better come on with it. That nigga know he big. That nigga, and not big like that. Neither. That nigga been solid his whole life. You seen that nigga back? He got a grown man back. Well, that nigga get grown. That nigga gonna look like he been lifting weights and he ain't never done nothing. I'm telling you, he gonna be walking just like this here. You be like, boy, y'all put him in the weight room. Shoot, that boy was born like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, them Shayla shoulders he got.
We got it.
Hey, that's genetics though. Cause Crystal, Crystal got the same shoulders. Y'all got this. You can say fat. I'm talking about the broadness of it. The width. I'm talking about the width. 16:8 numbers. And Moses said unto Korah, here I pray you, you sons of Levi, seem it a small thing unto you that the Elohim of Yasharal has separated you from the congregation of Yasharal to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of Yahuwah, to stand before the congregation to serve unto them. He brought them near unto him, and your brethren, the sons of Levi, with you, and seek you the priesthood also, for which cause both of you and all your company to gather together against Yahuwah. And what is Aaron that you murmur against him? See, that's what they didn't realize, is that you were going against Yahuwah. You weren't going against Moses and Aaron. For which, and Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, who said, we will not come up. Is it a small thing that you brought us up out of the land that flowed with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, except you make yourself altogether a prince over us? You heard what these people said? Well, they call Egypt a land that flowed with milk and honey. And say you brought us up out of there so you could kill us, so you could be our ruler. Moreover, you have not brought us into a land that flowed with milk and honey, or given us an inheritance of field and vineyards. When you put out the eyes of these men, we will not come up. See, because they took heed. Dathan and Abiram is the example of those who gave heed to false lips and a wicked doer. Because you see how they defend it. I'm not coming up to holler at you. You see what they're doing? And Moses was very wroth. And he said unto Yahuwah, respect not you their offering. I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them. Moses said unto Korah, be you and all your company before Yahuwah, and they and Aaron tomorrow. And of course, you know, he gave his statement like, hey man, if the earth swallowed them niggas up, then I'm a Yahuwah. And if not, then I'm not. And y'all know what happens. But you see what ends up happening? Hold on, I won't say it wrong. A wicked doer give heed to false lips, and a liar gives ear to a naughty tongue. Now we had read what verse 3, right? The finding pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but Yahuwah try the hearts, and that's an example of that. Let's look at this word for try. That's Proverbs 17:3. It does. It definitely does. When you look at try, y'all remember that it's pecan, right? To examine. You got bakat and noon to scrutinize. Yahuwah is always going to scrutinize what is in your heart, what's in your mind. That's why I say the finding pot is for silver and the furnace for gold. What that is? Isaiah 52. Huh? You over there eating stachios? Is that what you like? You desire that?
Eat the whole shit.
Eating the whole shell?
Probably. I try to open it.
You know what to do. You're looking like you're a grand champion with it. I say 52 is 52. What I want, it might be 48. Excuse me. I don't know what it is in 48, but yeah, 48. 48 what I want. 48 and 10. From 48 and 10 to Psalms 19. Isaiah 48, 10 to Psalm 19. Now that stuff was how science and all that. But at the end of the day, well, you're having what you who are already prescribed from the foundation of the world. So you just waiting for him to tell you a story that had already been told. At the end of the day. See the white folks hit us with all that stuff that make us feel like we got some manner of control of our reality. You don't. The only thing that you can control is how you behave. Outside of that, you ain't got no control over that. That man told you which one of you can make yourself rich by add 1 cubit to your stature by taking 1 thought. He said you can't add 1 cubit to your stature by taking 1 thought. And he said if you can't add to the least, then why you take thought of the rest? See, that's when people say faith without works is dead. Man, go ahead on. You know what I'm saying? That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. That man just sitting here telling you why you worried about how you gonna eat and what you gonna wear and all this other stuff what you worried about. You can't do nothing about it. You ought to be worried about me. That was his point. You're trusting me. I know you need somewhere to stay. What type of father you take me for? I know you need food to eat. What type of father you take me for? You know what I'm saying? I know you need clothes to put on your back. You think I'm gonna send my turn out the door naked? You know what I'm saying? This is simple stuff. But it's hard, like I told you, it's hard for most people to do it because you ain't trust your daddy like that when you were growing up. So now you're looking at a daddy who you can't see and you talking about trusting him. And if you ain't trust your daddy growing up and you know your lack of trust for your daddy and why you can't trust your who, you need to do exactly what I'm talking about last night. You need to go see a therapist. You need to go have a conversation. You need to identify why you don't trust him and then sit back and compare that to the word so you can heal from that and go about your life. Because guess what? Your daddy's not Yahuwah. That's the first thing you need to understand and recognize. Your dad is not Yahuwah. Your dad is a man. Your daddy is subject to the same like passions in his flesh as every one of us are subject to. And your daddy might have made some bad decisions based on how he was raised. Or maybe he's just a no good bastard. Who knows? I don't know. But at the end of the day, you can't live your life treating Yahuwah based off how people treated you. But Yahuwah ain't had nothing to do with that. So don't blame him for that. And don't hold him responsible for another man's work. Isaiah 48. 48 and 10. Behold, I have refined you, but not with silver. I have chosen you in the furnace of affliction. Now, why is he changing you? Because he's doing this to examine your heart. And we said we're not going to spend a lot of time with that because we've dealt with this in the past. But who can y'all think of who was taken through some man of affliction for their heart was tried? Abraham was one because he took his nephew. How about because he couldn't have a seed? How about Jacob when he was going through it with Esau? How about Jacob when he was trying to get Rachel and got deceived by Laban? Yahuwah tried his heart, then he examined it, proved him out. See, this is a righteous man. What about Solomon dealing with them 2 women who came with them terms? What about Solomon not praying for wealth or his enemies, but for understanding that he might judge his people? That's an examination of his heart. What about Esther and her ability to humble herself to the authority of her uncle, and then on top of that, to seek Yahuwah in a situation and circumstance where somebody is seeking to obliterate the Yahudim as a whole? You know what I'm talking about? Like the list is endless. What about Gideon? Huh? What about Ruth? He tried all these people hard. What about Yahushua himself? It's time for him to die. He said, boy, put your sword up, boy. Don't you know I can call for 12 legions of Malachim? He said, but how will the scriptures be fulfilled? That's an examination of the heart. Yeah, that's the examination of the heart. That's what it's for. See, a lot of us ain't ready for that. I know I mentioned somewhere else. I can't remember what it was. One second, y'all willing to come back to me in a moment. Well, it didn't. So let's come back and let's look at this dry morsel of bread that we began with. The beginning aspect of the verse. Well, we talked about a wise servant, but that's a standalone. We might have to come back to that. A better is a dry morsel and quietness thereof. So of course we discussed that with dry, right? Correct. Dry, desolate, parched, hot, rosh, and bot. You're separated to the son of Elohim. But then we dealt with morsel. Right? The words of the covenant. So you're dealing with dry bread. I want you to come over here to Dutch chapter 9, verse 1. Dealing with a little dry bread. You like dry bread? You look like you like dry bread. I didn't even know it was a such thing as dry bread till you get them bakery loaves of bread.
Other stuff, man.
You look like you like to go to Publix and get your whole loaf. Cut it yourself, man. Look at that bread's trash.
Well, with some soup.
Soup?
Like real crunchy.
Chili?
Like
That nigga eat like a old man. But I forgot he an old man baby, so shoot. How old your daddy was when you were conceived? Boy?
Like 35.
Old man baby.
Yeah. By the time you came of age,
He came of age, he like this here. He done came of age, he like, get this out, son. Boy, come get you some of this soup, boy. Oh, it's 85 degrees outside. Boy, this soup here. I got the bread too.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's why I said I would call him Little Johnny because you don't call him the third. Cause he know that's an old man baby. Possibly waiting all his life to make that boy. Straight up. Like this here, boy, he got him a boy, he was overjoyed. And then he made him an old man, just like him. He made this son. Telling you, this nigga around here in 2020 wearing Egyptian musk. That boy out here wearing Egyptian musk. Talking about telling you a secret. That ain't no secret. Egyptian musk been out 35 years. Secret is out. Brother definitely moved past Egyptian musk many, many moons ago. Ain't nothing wrong with the musk part, but you got to get rid of the Egyptian part. You got to step into the new era. You see, your old lady tried to help you out. You want to take it back one with that. She trying to get you smelling fresh and clean. You want to smell like musk, Egyptian musk. You from Cairo or Memphis? We have to get you some Arabian Nights. Nah, that's a real company called Arabian Nights. Now you look like you need the Middle Eastern sense, huh? Frankincense and myrrh. Ooh, ain't nothing wrong with that. You're an Eastern man. Shoot, you got to be. That champagne ain't Eastern though.
Classic.
They ain't classic, boy. Ain't damn nigga in fragrance history heard of champagne.
Underground.
No, not for that. Oh, but I never had heard of it. That nigga said champagne. I had to look that up. That joint definitely come in a champagne bottle. I'm like, whoa, this nigga really is a really cologne called champagne.
But you know, I might get
Don't do it. I looked the notes up. I looked the notes up on the champagne. Ain't my flop. Ain't my flop. I looked the notes up. Oh, my good. If anything is gonna be trash, they're gonna be trash because of longevity. They ain't gonna last long. You gotta keep it with you and reapply. That's why some people walk around with them travel atomizers. Because some of them, boy, you gotta respray. Then the worst ones is the ones that cost a lot of bread, and you gotta respray. That Chanel Alone Sport smells exquisite. Well, you gotta take that bottle with you, bro. 3-4 hours, that nigga gone. That nigga is gone. That's $100-some-odd bottle of cologne, bro. You'll be pissed off you done spent that money that don't last. Outside of that, oh no. Ain't nothing in there. I'd be like, oh, this smells horrible. Other people might feel different. I know what I like. Well, I know the most. I'm like, oh, that's me. I look them up. I looked the notes up. Yahushua son of Nun, chapter 9. It came to pass when all the kings which were on this side of Jordan, and the hills, and in the valleys, and in the coast of the great sea, over against. Oh, it is just. Okay. It said, Amalek, the son of Jerubbaal, went to Shechem unto his mother's brethren. No, I did say justice, but it was Yahushua. Yahushua son of Nun, chapter 9. Yahushua son of Nun, chapter 9, verse 1. Above, where you going? Hey. And it came to pass when all the kings were on this side of Jordan, in the hills and the valleys and all the coasts of the great sea, over against Lebanon, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, the Jebusite, heard thereof. They gathered themselves together to fight with Yahushua and with Yasharal with one accord. When the inhabitants of Gibeon heard what Yahushua had done unto Jericho and Ai, they did work wildly and went and made it that they had been ambassadors, took old sacks upon their asses, wine bottles, old and rent, bound up, old shoes clouded upon their feet, old garments upon them. All their bread of their provision was dry and moldy. Now let's look at something, right? Let's look at moldy first. Now for dry here, hold on. For dry here, you have your vache, which is to make dry or to become dry. You have God, Hot, and Sham. You know what I'm saying? So you could look at how the sun was consumed by his worship, which in turn made him dry. We're going to read something in regards to dry in a minute. And then you have moldy, which is nakud, which is a crumbled thing, or an apparently a kind of hard biscuit or cake. You have Nun, Kuf, and Dalet, and y'all can figure that out if you like. Nun, Kuf, and Dalet. And of course, for provision, you have Sayed, which of course is your food, and that is Sad Yad and Dalet. But you remember, right, Nun, Kuf, and Dalet that you have for moldy. They have moldy bread, dry bread, basically hard bread. Then it says it's better to have a dry morsel or a dry piece of bread with some quietness. But guess what? They was bringing that dry bread around there for to get them some what? Some quietness. But they had heard what was going on. They said, well, we got to get down with the team, but we got to make it look like we came a long way. We really came around from around the corner. What y'all over there doing? Something you ain't off not. That's what you over there doing. And you participate. No, not Renee. Talking about Abigail and Muffin, and little Muffin Man. You what? Well, agree your butt in your seat. How about that? Hungry that. I'm a hum you, boy. What y'all got for that noon Kuf and Dallas? Grandma, come here. Hey, Grandma. What you doing? What you doing? Hey, little bug. What you doing? Y'all ain't got nothing for me, noon Kuf and Dallas? Come on, go sit down, Grandma. Go sit down, bird. Noon Kuf and Dallas. Any takers? Moldy, the cool. Noon Kuf and Dallas. Well, what you doing, boy? You teething over there, boy? Moldy. Yes, sir. Final hanging being lives. There's got the strength of the seed of life. You got something over there, little Johnny? You said that like that, boy, like you look nigga to play. No, boy, I ain't took your money. Boy. I ain't took Anybody else going once? Going twice? So I'll give you right this here, right? Same difference that the light of the sacrifice of life, or the because remember in him is life, and the light is the life of men. Because this is moldy bread or it's dry bread. I want you to come over here and look at something that Yahushua said in Luke chapter 23. No, not a busybody. He said, I'm trying to explore. I'm exploring. I don't know what's going on. It's things in front of me. Luke chapter 23, verse 26. Calm down, boy. Your life ain't hard. Luke chapter 23, verse 26. And as they led him away, they laid hold upon one Simon of Cyrene, coming out of the country, and on him they laid the cross, that he might bear it after Yahushua. And there followed him a great company of people, of women, which also bewailed and lamented him. Yahushua, turning unto them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your sons. For behold, the days are coming in which they shall say, Blessed are the barren, and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they've done these things in a green tree, what shall be done in the dry? Now, he's sitting back looking at it. If you're a green tree, what are you filled up? Water, moisture. He said that they would do these things to a dry tree. He was referring to them because you ain't got no ruach in you. But we have to look at it in this regard because that tree part, that's something in Ezekiel and a couple other places. I ain't going to deal with that right now. But if you look at Yahushua, he became a dry tree or a dry piece of bread. Let's look at John chapter 6, and then I'll ask you when he became a dry piece of bread. John chapter 6, verse 35. You can make it 32. John chapter 6, verse 32. This Yahushua said unto him, Truly, truly, I say unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from heaven. My Abba gave you the true bread from heaven. See, that go back. We were talking about this the other day, well, earlier. Now, the word manna, right? It's man. It's just meme and noon. Just meme and noon. So it's the ruach of life, or the blood of life, whatever you want to look at it, right? Now, why did he give them manna? Because they were complaining that they were what? Hungry. And what is manna? Sweet, like coriander seeds, wafers with a taste of honey. Psalms described it as what type of food? Angels' food. That he gave man the food that was reserved for the sons of Elohim and Shamahim. That's what it's referred to. So he's telling you, it says bread, but of course he's telling you, eat a manna from heaven. See, that go back to when I mentioned what we were talking about earlier when I was talking about preparation. Remember what he said about preparation? That it wouldn't do what on the Shabbat? It wouldn't corrupt. Because he would give you what? Twice as much on the sixth day. That is an allusion to Yahushua himself, because he rose what? After the Shabbat had passed, he did not corrupt or go bad when he was rained upon the ground. But that's another conversation for another day. We probably have to revisit that because that's been about a good strong 6 or 7 years since we done talked about his correlation with the manna and the literal manna and all the instructions that went down with the manna. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, a lot of things that we do on the Shabbat is based off instructions that were given to the manna. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff the dudes run through. Well, Exodus 16 say this here, but that's when you know that somebody is not actually a scribe of the word, because they know that everything in Exodus 16 pertaining to the instructions on what they would do for Shabbat was strictly in regards to the manna. Period. What has he done? Shoot, nigga better pick it up and blow it off. Straight up, nigga. Them good cookies too. I'm good sugar cookies. Shoot, nigga,
You were there.
who? What you mean? He wouldn't have fell on the floor for what? Oh,
It was.
Yeah,
I felt like something was
yeah,
going
it
to
was a tight
man,
fit.
ain't all that. I ain't eat nothing off the floor. Niggas sit back and say they ain't gonna eat nothing at the floor. And ate McDonald's consistently for years. You were eating more than stuff off the floor if you ever pulled up to a McDonald's. Or Christmas. McDonald's, you don't even know if you was eating baby fetuses. I'm just keep on. Eat what?
We had to just eat. It was a fish sandwich. We had to eat.
Man, I would have rather went to Walgreens and found something to buy before I pulled up at McDonald's. See, I ain't eating McDonald's too tough anyway. But when I came home from prison and Fat Boy showed me that video, I'm like, well, you know what? I always wonder why these fries was always looking fresh when they on the back seat. You don't even know how long the fries been back there. They look the same. You know what I'm talking about?
With cheese, it was good. I ain't gonna lie.
Then them burgers, they ain't decomposing. Then you got the Jewish dude talking about they take the little kids and grind them up and feed them the niggas. But that junk ain't even feed. I worked at McDonald's, boy. Boy, I was not convinced that was real cow. It don't make no difference. Fish ain't no good. I don't even know if that's real cow. I don't know if nothing in that real. Shoot, the people might not be. I don't know yet. I'm like this here. But shoot, boy, I wouldn't know no fan of McDonald's, boy. I remember I used to be Uber and people be pulling on the McDonald's. Let me get you something to eat. I'd rather not. I'm gonna get it for you anyway, buddy. I'm gonna give it to the homeless people. I don't want that. Dude, the homeless man like this here, shoot, he already doing bad. Deputy Go ain't gonna bother. Shoot, better than throw it away. Let him get satiated. Ain't no nutrients in it, but he'll feel better about himself. Boy, if a nigga who's sitting out there, man, most of them niggas sitting out there drinking Cold 45, but they ain't worried about no double cheeseburger. Shoot, that ain't a cigarette, nigga. It ain't ungodly. It's just, hey, man, nigga, I don't want this. Crystal's even worse though, because there's no way that something should be called defecation burgers.
I've been craving
That's
it.
kangaroo meat.
I've been craving it. I've been craving it. I have been craving it. I started to take it.
Trying to blame it on the baby. That baby ain't got you craving the
I've
burgers.
been craving it. I don't even eat beef. But I do want. Oh yeah, cheese.
Only after going out at Tennessee.
They breakfast is pretty good. They
I'm
breakfast is
straight.
good.
Look at you. Mm-hmm. You know she like to go to Crystal. Right over there on Castle. Mm-hmm.
Breakfast is all right.
Where we at? John chapter 6, verse 32. I read 32 or 32. Then Yahushua said unto truly, truly, I said unto you, Moses gave you not that bread from Shamahim, but my Abba give you the bread, true bread from Shamahim. For the bread of Elohim is he which come down from Shamahim and give life unto the world. Then they said unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread. Yahushua said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that come to me shall never hunger, and he that believe on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you that you also have seen me and believe not. All that Abba give me shall come to me, and him that come to me I will no wise cast out. For I come down from Shamahim not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. And this is Abba's will which hath sent me, that all which he hath given me I should lose none, but should raise them up again at the last day. And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone receive the Son and believe on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. Let's drop down a little bit to verse 48. I am that bread of life. Your fathers did eat manna in the wilderness and are dead. This is the bread which come down from Shamahim, that a man may eat thereof and not die. I am the living bread which come down from Shamahim. If any man eat of this bread, he shall live forever. And the bread that I will give is my flesh, which I will give for the life of the world. The Yahudim therefore strove among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? Then said Yahushua unto them, truly, truly, I say unto you, except you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoso eat my flesh and drink my blood have eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. My flesh is meat indeed, my blood is drink indeed. He that eat my flesh and drink my blood dwell in me, and I in him. As living Abba have sent me, I live by Abba, so he that eat me even shall live by me. This is that bread which come down from Shamahim, not as your fathers did eat manna and are dead, for he that eat of this bread shall live forever. Now, when did Yahushua, he describing his flesh as living bread, when did he become dry bread? He was dry bread before he went into bread. Now don't tell me that. When he pierced his side and the water came out, and he emptied himself out, then technically he would be what? Dry. Because you know when you die, I think your blood does something and it dries up in you. That's why they drain it out or whatever they say they do. I told the children what rigor mortis is. They might not remember what rigor mortis is. Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I just know the song.
That's all you know. Highly educated one. Highly educated.
I really didn't know my sister was like that.
That just show you the education system is trash.
Wait, why would I learn that?
You ain't got to go to bad school. I ain't never been to nobody's school, and I know what rigor mortis is.
I was never on the streets either.
That ain't I got in the street. Nigga, do you read books, nigga, besides romance novels?
I didn't, to be honest. I said romance novels.
I can tell. You look like a nigga cold winter.
Zane, I read those type of books.
I know that's what you read. Reading Zane nasty self. You reading Zane want to call Monte. No, you ain't right.
That was the phone.
You ain't right. You ain't right.
Oh yeah.
That's why you got all the money. That explains a lot. That's why you crazy. John chapter 19, y'all. Verse 32. Oh boy. That son coming through giving some hearts light. That John got a whole glare. Okay. Ain't gonna live with it.
Boo-boo.
You boo-boo.
You got a boo-boo?
Well, you better hit that toilet, boy, because you do-do in your draw, boy. We putting you out the door.
Oh, yeah.
Then came the soldiers and break the legs of the first. Yeah, I know it. He's talking about the sun that's putting the glare on the screen. John 19:32. Then came the soldiers and break the legs of the first and the other which was crucified with him. But when they came to Yahushua and saw that he was dead already, they break not his legs. But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forthwith there came out blood and water. Now remember, right? The Gibeonites brought what? Moldy bread, right? As their provision. Now Yahushua, remember, that's that new coup. So that's the light of the sacrifice of life. Or that light is given because of the sacrifice of the life of the son of Elohim. And again, that's what we're dealing with moldy, because this is a dry piece of bread. He has become a dry piece of bread. Let me go back to the word for dry in Proverbs. Who was that under there? Is that Muffin? Muffin, what are you doing? Now remember, right? He said it's better. That's two. So it is good to have a dry morsel of bread. And again, that is karev, kat, rosh, and bat. It is good to be separated by the son of the highest. That is good. So you have to keep that in mind. Remember, we dealt with better as a dinner with herbs with love. You remember? Y'all remember what that meant? You know what that verse is about? That's Proverbs 15 and 17. Better is a dinner with herbs. We dealt with this before. I'm gonna pull it back up for y'all real quick. Better is a dinner with herbs with love is than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. Now, when you look at Passover, what you supposed to have for it? Bitter herbs. A little bit of herbs. Little bit of herbs. So when Yahushua sat down and ate the Passover, what did he have? He had a dinner with herbs. Herbs here is your rock or vegetable, garden greens. little garden greens. You know, nigga came to me, I'm on a Daniel fast. My homeboy said, ain't no fast, nigga. That's what he ate. I remember that people be swearing, boy, if you're vegan, you're going to be more spiritual. No, you're not. You're just a nigga who eat grass. At the end of the day, what you put in your body has nothing to do with your level of spiritual acuity. Has nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? But see, again, I'm mentioning that only for one reason. Because we always seek something other than be committed to Elohim to become spiritual. You're not going to become spiritual without the giver of spirit. How does that make? How are you going to be spiritual and not go through the Father of spirits? You know what I'm talking about? We looking at here, you got to be spiritual through this, be spiritual through that. Niggas want to replace you. Who are calling the source? Call him the universe, the grand architect. All this stuff to not give esteem to him who esteem is due. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, I'm a disrespectful when it comes to people who don't believe in you, who are in an ardent on promoting that. I would disrespect everything that you believe in to your face. See, I ain't gonna say something like some whole niggas do, go make a post or get on a video. I'm gonna tell you to your face, your God is trash. Everything you believe in, screw everything you stand for and the vagina you came out of, and she stand for it too. I have no problem with that. You know why I don't have a problem with that? Because I know that Yahuwah is the living Elohim, and that's it. There's no debate about that. It's a conversation. You know what I'm saying? That ain't nothing to go back and forth about. How you know your way is right? That's when I walk away. What you mean how I know my way is right? When somebody comes at you with a response to how you know that your way is right, you have already been explicitly told that they know what they follow when it's trash. Because if you knew what you was doing was correct, you wouldn't even waste your time trying to convince me of the validity. I've met many people. I don't believe in that Bible. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah, you do care. No, I don't. I don't care if you don't believe in it. That junk don't mean nothing to me. Oh, I know what you thought. You thought I was one of the missionary types, or one of the Jehovah's Witnesses, or the Christian people, or some of these stupid Hebrews who are going to try to sit here and convince you to believe in something that you say you don't believe in. Okay, you don't believe in it. Nigga, what that mean to me? That means nothing to me. I don't care. I don't care. You know what I'm talking about? I don't care. But when you come to me and try to convince me of Osiris or witchcraft, all this other stuff, see, this is the difference between me and others. See, I was abreast of all of that stuff before dealing with the word. So you can't sell me that. Like niggas was talking about this the other day. There's 200 other gospels. Man, look here, man. I ain't nigga when it's talking about. So you got to get with the Christ consciousness. And I'm just laughing because I know you don't know. I know you don't know. And I don't even gonna waste my time to try to convince you, nigga, on that Bible. Like, who you think feelings you hurting with that? You ain't hurting my feelings. Nigga, you the dummy, you opposing yourself. You hate your own mercy. You're rejecting your own mercy, and you feel like I'm supposed to fight with you for you to get mercy. No, I'm not. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. Y'all boy know, boy, I walk down the street, I ain't saying nothing to nobody about nothing if you didn't ask me for it. You know what I'm saying? If I wasn't moved to open my mouth, I'm not saying anything about nan tap a word. I know a lot of people feel like you supposed to be walking down the street. Don't say if you are. I ain't doing none of that. I ain't doing none of that. Real. Everybody who been around me in public for an extended period of time, well, you know, I ain't mentioning no word, no nothing. And if it get brought up, they be like, well, I never thought you would have known that. Well, that's why you don't get paid to think. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost. And why wouldn't you think I knew that? And that's how all y'all supposed to feel. You supposed to know why you believe what you believe. And if somebody say, well, I would have never thought you believed that or do that. Well, why would you think that? What about me made you think that I don't follow that? What, I'm supposed to walk around with a banner across my chest? I serve you. I don't have to do any of that. I live a quiet, peaceful life. But if you size me, I will embarrass you to the levels of embarrassment that you did not think were possible. I have no problem with it. I don't care nothing about no scholarship. I will disgrace you before heaven and earth if you dare come at me talking about disrespecting the living Elohim and his only begotten son. I ain't gonna play no games with you. I will embarrass you. I will embarrass whoever's with you. And if you want to fight, then shoot, nigga, tie your boots up. Because that's not gonna stop me from saying what I'm gonna say. They gotta came out Arabs about Muhammad. And boy, you know, boy, them niggas ready to kill. But I was down with this Arab boy. He was ready to come from behind the counter and fight me, boy. I look at it, told him, your prophet ain't real. Don't you dare disrespect the prophet Muhammad. I said, well, let me ask you a question. He said, ask it then. I said, man, don't your book say the prophethood and revelation came to Isaac and Jacob? And I wouldn't say the prophet ain't real. Hold that book up and leave me alone. He would stop because he knew that's what it said. That's what the Quran say. The prophethood and revelation come to Isaac and Jacob. So what you talking about Muhammad for? Your own book say he ain't no prophet. He ain't got no revelation. I didn't say it. Your book said it. So F your book, nigga. You don't tell me everything you talking about is trash. I don't care about no Essene Gospel of Peace. Everything in the Essene Gospel of Peace is contradictory to Yahushua's testimony. I don't care. Niggas reading testimonies of Reuben, testimonies of Simeon, the Gospel of Mary. I don't care about none of that junk, man, because none of that junk don't line up with what Yahushua did. Everything takes the focus off the Lord and puts it on everybody else. It's irrelevant to me. You want to read it? Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. But see, over here, we preach the Son of the living Elohim, that Abba and Shamahin could be esteemed by the gospel of his Son as he intended it to be. And if that offends you, then this ain't the place for you. And that's all I got to say about that. Don't y'all be fighting over there about no popcorn, or no one will have popcorn. Matter of fact, someone will have popcorn. His name starts with a D and it ends with an N. And you know who that is? Garbage can.
I thought you were say the Wayne. I don't know who he was. I was so lost.
On your toes. I don't want no
I
popcorn.
thought it should be you. I was stuck. Yeah, y'all leave her alone. That's a lot. And Eli, don't leave me. Because you got popcorn.
I'm sharing. I'm sharing. So that's what you sit back and you look at, right? It's better to have that dinner with herbs and love. Because when you said, because in that time period, having a dinner with herbs is seen as a humble meal. And it's better to have that humble meal with love than have an ox who you can't get nowhere and hatred all in the house. For a stall here is a boss, that's a fattened ox there. So when it says it's better for you to have a garden full of herbs than a nice full ox and hatred in your house. You know what I'm saying? It's better for you to have this nice plate of garden vegetables than to have this nice, lovely piece of rump roast. You know what I'm talking about? The slow roasted, this good brisket you got going on here, and everybody in the house hate each other. Johnny shook his head like, boy, I'd like me a brisket right now. Nice beef brisket, slow roasted. Slow roast. What's that junk they sell at that roast they sell at Ale House? What they call it, junk? Huh? No, it ain't pot roast. No, it's Sunday called that junk, man. It's beef though, but I can't. Prime rib. Prime rib.
Yeah,
we had some bison burgers yesterday. Want no steak?
I was literally about to
shoot, Publix.
Oh yeah, Ted.
Shoot, Sean said he made brisket last night. Shoot, that's where I always get bison from, straight from Publix. Bison and lamb.
No, we got
put him in a spinach wrap. He was good to go. That's why I was late. Getting on. I had to eat. You know what I'm talking about? Who? Yeah, lamb burger. Shoot, I ain't want no bread. She had bread, but shoot. So when we look at right better is a dry morsel with quietness. Again, let's look at quietness again. Shalva, right? Prosperity or ease. So we just read in John 6 that he said his body is the bread of life. And his body ended up becoming dry because he poured it out. And it was better for you to have that dry bread so that you can have prosperity than to have a house full of sacrifices and strife. Because we started off looking at them having all those sacrifices, right? But what did the people constantly have? They had strife with Elohim. Because he said, what is it that separates you from your Elohim? Your sins and your iniquity separated you from your Elohim. What did he say? It is better for you to obey than to what? Than to sacrifice. What else did we read? Keep your sacrifices and eat flesh, because I never told you about no sacrifices. I told you to obey my voice, which you have chosen not to do. So you got all these house full of sacrifices, but you got strife with Elohim. But it's good for you to have this dry bread, because Mashiach poured out his ruach, or poured out the life in his body. It's better for you to have that, because when you have this dry bread of what you're going to partake in, it's going to actually give you life, which is it's better to have an dinner with garden vegetables with love. You know what I'm saying? He said it is better for you to sit down. When you look at the apostles and they sat down at that meal, there was love there. But when them scribes and Pharisees sat down for Passover after they killed the Lord, yeah, y'all had a fattened ox, but it was hatred in your heart when you did it. See, that go back to what I was talking about with y'all niggas with your banana pudding. See, let me read it to you about you niggas with your banana pudding.
You know what? Now we were joking. And we was like, why didn't take nothing like that? But it was too late.
Oh, we knew you were joking, but nigga, why was anybody going to indulge in that pint size pan of banana pudding? It's whole grown men in here.
Now, tell the truth, I offered it.
We ain't talking about the offering. We talking about there's nothing to offer.
Well, yes.
We talking about sufficient. There's men in there. Nigga want a nice healthy portion of banana pudding, not a dab. A dash of pudding. Nobody want no dash of pudding. We get all that, but you don't want nobody want a dash of pudding. It's niggas. That's a nigga dessert. You know what I'm saying? Every black person in here knew, boy, if you like banana pudding, you knew your mama was making it, boy. You were gonna get you a nice big bowl. Oh, Callie, you proficient in that area?
Me, and it's scratch.
Oh, see, that's what my mama do. My mama used to make it from scratch. Sometimes she do it regular, sometimes she make it. That ain't fancy. That means she's a woman.
What? Excuse you?
Excuse yourself. I ain't trying to say nothing. I said it. I didn't say it was. He just said, oh, she fancy. I'm just saying, nigga, making it from scratch is what women do. You were making pudding.
It was. I didn't.
Hey, nigga, when we was in home economics, did they teach you to make stuff out of box? I had it, boy. They taught you to make it from scratch. Boy, I made a cake from scratch, nigga, and it was delightful. Okay, play with it. I bet I got an A on that class, though. I can't. Give me the instructions, nigga. I can follow instructions, nigga. You can nothing. Nigga, don't disrespect me.
Right, that's what I want to put his money. I
don't got no problem. I ain't got no problem with that. Bring it. You sick in your head because can you make a cake?
I got instructions.
So that means you can't do it?
You just said you could.
I'm a man. Who's not a shit. It is talk, but I'm just saying that clearly she had an older woman teach her how to do that.
Did you ask her? She might have got enough line too.
How you learn to make banana pudding from scratch, Kathy? Online? Do you make all your pastries from scratch? Well, I'm just calling that dessert pastry. Nah, when we talking about see, you know why y'all that bother y'all? Cause see, y'all modern ladies. Y'all modern ladies. Cause them old fashioned ladies be like this here. They looking at you. Oh, you make biscuits out the bag? You not traditional. Cause guess what? For her godmama, well, that nigga was in there like everything was from scratch. I ain't never seen that many biscuits made before. You know what I'm talking about? She like this here, nigga. She got the roll, nigga.
I got a roll.
How many times you use
a few, a couple. I got a roll.
At the end of the day, it ain't y'all fault. Nigga, y'all come in a society where you can pull up the crystal. You can pull up the cold place. Matter of fact, now we live in a time, nigga will bring your to-go food to your front door. You know what I'm talking about? And most of these niggas don't want much. I ain't got no problem with it. That nigga said, shoot, that nigga dare say he's sitting instructions right now. But look at nigga, I was like 16 years old, nigga. Shoot, nigga, I got an A on my cake, though. So did. See, the key to the cake is how moist you can have it. See, I know that. That's what my teacher told me. She said you gotta whip him right. Nigga, look here, boy, that ain't no different than whipping up that work. You gotta whip him up. I didn't size you because I wasn't even talking to you. You sized yourself. I'm talking to Lil Johnny. Lil Johnny said she fancy. I said, no, she a woman. Woman supposed to make stuff from scratch. That's just like women feeding niggas vegetables out the can in the bag. Ain't gonna buy them things fresh and steam them for me. Nigga, I ain't no little boy no more. No doggone vegetables in a bag. That's a bachelor food. That's what bachelors do. Go grab the steam. I don't do all this here. You a woman. Give me real vegetables. It's 2020. That woman should be around here getting no can open and giving a nigga no doggone corn. I don't care.
I agree. Yeah.
What's that?
The frozen is fresher than the fresh.
That's what they say. I don't believe in white folks.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to recent stuff because it got frozen at the moment of harvest.
That's what they say. I don't believe in white folks. They don't make no difference. If you don't want to buy from the grocery store, then go holler at the farmer's market. Then get it from him. Can't get no fresher than him. What you say? I can't get no fresher than the farmer again. Can't get no fresher. Backyard. Shoot, that ain't even the backyard. Them boys got big farm. They got big farm. But no, I just say all that whenever, man. Come over here to what, 1 Corinthians chapter 10. I just say all that because we have been removed from what people tradition. Now, of course, the cooking from scratch got removed when they actually did things to get women in the workforce. So once you began to work, the time period that you would have taken to actually make things from beginning to end is over with. You done work 6-7 hours. You ain't finna come home and make no biscuits from scratch. Yeah, we crack joke about it, but now we're just being serious now. I mean, come on now. We do understand the reality. But again, that's why I say modern woman, some modern time that thought of make something from scratch. What? Shoot, man, most of these girls in this generation can't even cook. No, I need chapter 11. I'm sorry. 1 Corinthians 11. 11 and 17, we get out of here. Yeah, most of these girls can't even cook. Look at it, like, you can't cook, you're disagreeable, you're overweight. You know what I'm talking about? That junk is bad. Man, I was telling you, brother, that other day, boy, it's a lot of women in the word. These boys, you talking about, boy, these women are husky. I'm talking about defensive tackle bill. About they looking for a man. Shoot, you need to look for a trainer, then a man. Talking about why they can't get nobody to marry him. Because you got yeast rolls. Just because the brother was like, man, a lot of y'all brothers ain't married because y'all want the beautiful women, but the women with the good character is just a little overweight. Well, then tell her to lose some weight. Don't tell me to marry her because she big. Tell her to lose the weight. How is her obesity my problem? You mad at me because I don't want a woman who built like doggone Tyson Alu. I want a lady. Man, look here, man. Chick I know told me, boy, she was 220 pounds, 5'6". I said, girl, you 15 pounds less than me. That's heavy. That's heavy. Nigga, I'm heavy. I don't want somebody heavy like me. That's defense. He still played for the Steelers, plugging up the A gap. It's a cover bruise on this lady got mad. Older lady talking about this guy told me I was fat. Then she posted a picture of herself. I said, well, where's the lie? Like that what I'm putting out with? No other race of men would have told me I was fat. Well, you should have been happy that he told you because you went to the gym after that. So you ought to thank him. Send him a fruit basket. You know what I'm talking about? For real, because baby had a real muffin top, boy. She had folds and rolls everywhere. Like, oh, baby, that ain't good, baby. Talking about you want a man. And had a nerve to talk about she turning men down. You 50 years old and you fat? Come on, man. Like, bro, that junk, and I ain't, like I said, I'm just saying that junk, not just on the appealing part. That junk so bad because you so unhealthy that the likelihood of you perishing having my children is higher. The likelihood of you feeding me bad food to kill me is higher. You know what I'm talking about? Like just the health aspect of it, period. That junk is not good to be that much overweight. Our people feel like that's how it's supposed to be. Remember you were talking about that? They talking about, oh, you're going to be skinny. Look like, no, I'm healthy. I'm supposed to be healthy. We feel like it's a badge of honor to be fat and sloppy. Male or female. But even more so for the women. Well, Kira, you've been working out, so you all right. You're doing something about it. See, it's one thing to be overweight and then not do nothing about it. See, Kira, you're doing something about it. You got to do something about it. You're doing something about it. It don't matter. That's just like people pick on people who overweight in the gym. That never made sense to me. Clearly, they're trying to do something about it because they're here. So why wouldn't you give them encouragement and assistance because they're here? They could be sitting at the house talking about what in the Syracuse University is going on here, but they are not. Yes. That's like people equate fat with being healthy. No, they don't. They don't. They just, I'm fat and I want you to be fat with me. That would it really be when you strip it away.
Lying.
And we say, yeah, we equate it with being healthy, but really, I'm overweight.
Come here.
So I want you to be overweight because then we can be less desirable together. Because if you're fit, then you're going to be more desirable. And the more desirable you are, you may leave me alone to be in my misery alone by myself. And I don't want that to happen. To be dead honest with you, when you look into the root and cover, somebody see you overweight and they tell you, oh, you're beautiful. There's nothing wrong with you. You're great how you are. They're lying to you because you're not beautiful. Not if you're grossly overweight. It's not beautiful. They're lying to you. You know what I'm talking about? And they're telling you that because they don't you really realize the people who tell you it's okay for you to be overweight are usually overweight? How many fit people have you ever heard tell somebody that they're perfect how they are when they're overweight? You never hear them tell nobody that. It's always people who are overweight because, as they like to say, misery loves company. Because if you get fit, you can get to a man and you're going to leave me here by myself. And I don't want that to happen. Or your man will desire you more because you're fit and then you're not going to spend time eating food with me. You're going to be with your husband. You have to look at that. Why would somebody tell you it's okay for you to be in a negative state that is doing damage to your health first before you even talk about your physical appearance? It's damaging to your health. That's damaging to your health. And a nigga's telling you, stay like that. That's just why the nigga tell you don't mean nothing, bro. If you ain't got no money, man, take care of your kids, bro. Time would matter. I guarantee you a nigga who tell you that he broke. Because the nigga who got some money gonna be like, so bro, what you gonna do? You gonna get your bread up? You know what I'm saying? Like how many dudes say, like, of course I was hustling and whatnot. How many dudes you ever been around who had money would tell somebody who was broke, it's okay if he broke? But you be around a nigga who broke, ain't no big deal, you ain't got no money, bro. Shoot. Let me hold $1 so I can get a blunt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you niggas broke. Only people who are in that negative state with you will encourage you to stay like that. How many righteous people you ever heard say, nah, bro, stay in your sin, bro. You good. But a sinner take, ain't no big deal, God, so forgive the person for God. That's what they're going to tell you because I want you to stay like me. The minute you go to put in the work and elevate, you're going to leave me behind. That's why if somebody tell you, hey, bro, I'm going to start my own business, man, I'm going to quit this job. Oh, you don't want to do that, bro? Because they want you to stay on the same level that they're on. You gotta pay attention to that. That's really the root. And the cloak. That's really the cloak. People don't want you to leave them behind. Stay here with me. And then we can be fat together getting Dunkin' Donuts. We can be broke together talking about, man, shoot, bro. We need some money, bro. They can be evil together. And indeed, they really don't care about you. They really don't care about you. Like that viral video of Kevin, everybody talking about, what he was really telling that woman, he cared enough about that woman who he did not know to entertain a question that was not on topic to tell her the truth of her situation so that she could change it. Nigga telling her he should have gave her the tips to get a man like that. You can't give a woman tips to get something that is relative to each individual man. You can't give a woman a tip who's 35 with a teenage boy how to get a man who ain't got no kids who got money. Because he don't want her. He don't want her. See, that's harsh for women. You don't want to hear that. But if a nigga got some bread and he ain't got no kids, the last thing he wants is another nigga. You know what I'm saying? He don't want that. If he's worth $500,000, $1 million, $10 million, $15 million, the last thing he wanted, he don't want to do that. Especially not a woman who's 35. I can get a woman who's 22 with none. And who looks better than you. So what I want you for? But see, that hurt women's feelings, but I don't know why it hurt women's feelings. Because if a nigga was broke and you had money, you not gonna entertain him. And ain't nobody gonna tell that man what to do to get a woman with some money. You know why a nigga don't want a woman with some money? Because your money is your money. Your money's not my money. Everything that a woman says she want to do, that's for her. It's not for the family. That's for you. You ain't thinking about the family. You think about yourself. Ain't no woman ever woke up and said, I'm going to start a business to, not talking about she got a son or a daughter. I'm talking about she got a husband. I'm going to start a business to increase the generational wealth of our family. She lying. That's whole talk on the internet. Most of the women who say that ain't got no husband.
No, sir, Sam.
You know what I'm talking about? Most of the women who say generational wealth ain't got no husband. She's the mother goddess archetype. She got a child with no man. Because if you hear a woman say, I want to start this business, it's always for her. When a man starts something, it's for the family. That means that includes her. It's very few women on this earth that start something and she thinking about how that's going to benefit her man. She thinking about how that's going to benefit her. See, y'all think we don't know this, but we know. You're selfish creatures by nature. You think about yourself. You ain't thinking about that. So a nigga don't want your money because your money is your money. You ain't getting no money to break me off with it. That's a rare breed of woman who going to break a man off. That's why dudes look out for the chicks who break them off. Because ain't too many women going to do it. You ain't going to buy a nigga nothing. You ain't going to take a nigga nowhere. You ain't going to do nothing. You looking for him to do it. Why should I do it? Because you have a vagina? I think not. What worth and value do you have for me to make me want to do that for you? It's not that men don't want to do it, but you feel like I owe you that because you're sitting on a vagina. Every woman on earth is sitting on one. So it's not special. So then your character has to be special. I mean, a long time ago, we had some women who had a few kids, and I told them it was going to be more difficult for you with kids to get a man than a woman without. You're going to have to show yourself of much higher value than a woman without kids to entice a man to want to deal with you. And they just took that as I'm saying you can never get a husband. I'm not saying that you can get a man, but you might not get a man of worth. See, if you want a man of worth, then you have to show yourself a greater level of value and worth to entice him to want to come deal with that. Because most men don't want to deal with that. And the biggest reason why is most men feel like if you got another man's child, that you will eventually go back to that man who you got that child with. That's how most dudes feel. Most dudes feel like, especially if he's involved, he feel like you'll let that nigga bust up your back. And that's it. And that's just reality of life. You know what I'm talking about? And people just need to tell the truth and just deal with it. But women don't want to hear that. Why would nobody want her? She's making money. Why would a man with money care about a woman having money? What does that do for him? If I got $10 million and you got $10 million, what does your $10 million do for me? It don't do nothing for me. And you know what the saddest part is? I can have 10 million. She can have 10 million. She gonna divorce me and scream she ain't got no money and she need my money. You know what I'm talking about? Like, come on, man. Be real. Now, of course, this world is people problems. You know, them center problems. But still, nevertheless, it's the reality of life. You know what I'm talking about? Because at the end of the day, put it to you like this here, right? If you a sinner and I'm a saint, and I say, no, a saint not gonna want to. If this man was talking to this woman, she say she a sinner, but she want a righteous man, and he telling her, well, with that attitude, you ain't gonna get no righteous man. People tell, you need to tell her what to do. Get righteous, oh, that's what you do. But see, they don't want to hear that because that means that there has to be work done on her part, or if you don't desire to be righteous, then stay with them sinners here. Stop looking for something that you don't want to do the work or increase yourself in order to get, as if someone owes you. That's the world we live in. But we done rolled a little too long. That 1 Corinthians 11 just was to mess with you, but I ain't gonna mess with you. I'm gonna leave you alone. No, it just basically what shoot you asked for. Nah, but all jokes aside though, this is just in regards to things in regards to feast days. So that 1 Corinthians 11:17, he said, now in this, I declare unto you, I praise you not that you come together, not for the better, but for the worse. First of all, when you come together in the house, I hear that there be divisions among you. I partly believe it. But there also be heresies among you, so they teach differing doctrines. That they which are approved may be manifest among you. When you come together, therefore, into one place, this is not to eat the Lord's Supper. For in eating, everyone take before the other his own supper. One is hungry, another is drunken. What? Have you not houses to eat and drink in? Or you despise the house of Elohim and shame them that have not? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not. Now, what he's talking about is this: an actual place of worship that these people went to, that they were keeping the Passover at. And he was basically like, it was as long as I eat, screw everybody in here. And he was like, nigga, don't you have a house to go do that in? When you come together, it's supposed to be that those who are without are supposed to eat first. You know what I'm talking about? And then it's more so to make sure that everybody partake. But he's checking them on. Nigga feel like, as long as I eat, I'm good. But he said, you one person over here hungry, this nigga drunk. You know what I'm talking about? He was like, boy, y'all can stay home for that. Because this is not the place for that. You know what I'm saying? Now, you do have that with some organizations on feast days, like, shoot, water boys have plenty of liquor. And they get good and pissy drunk. You know what I'm talking about? But we not one of them places. I ain't got nothing to say about nobody who do get them some liquor on. I done seen plenty of rules. Boy, pick that. You know what I'm talking about? Gin and all. Nigga barely had, nigga didn't even have no wine. That boy had yak.
I can imagine.
But you know, that's it what it is. But hallelujah for y'all who's trying to work, man. We gotta get out of here, man. I appreciate y'all time. Bless y'all in the house. Hallelujah. You who willing, we pick it up on the next one. And until that time. Okay. Thank you. And we'll pick it up and go from there. So who are willing to that time?
The witness. That's why I